like scary movies?
Uh-huh. I'm getting ready to watch a video.
You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. Talk to me. Talk to me.
Hi, everyone. I'm George, and welcome to the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest, at least. And today's guest is a very exciting one. He's a writer, a comedian, and one of the whitest kids you know. Please welcome Timmy Williams.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so stoked.
Yes. Hey, you and me both, brother.
Good.
Very excited not only to be talking with you, but to be talking specifically about this movie, which I am a big fan of.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history with horror?
I didn't watch horror much as a kid. Maybe, let's see, when I was 12 or so, me and my friend Casey went to my friend Drew's house and slept over. Drew lived out in the country on a farm, so he had a dish. You know, not just like Dish Network, a fucking dish that got all sorts of weird stuff. Like a satellite dish. This is audio, so you can't see my arms, audience. Anyways, it's a big old dish. And so he got all these weird channels. And so I remember seeing what I didn't even know at the time was part of Jason's Friday the 13th, 6, Jason Lives. And it was maybe one of the best parts of that movie when he takes out the RV.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I just remember my friend Drew going like, yes! Like when it's on its side and he climbs out, my friend Drew goes like, yes! And I was like, this is pretty cool. But then I just never, I don't know. And it's not that I even was scared of it. I just kind of wasn't into it. The things that did scare me as a kid were like, which a mode of art that doesn't really exist anymore is made-for-TV movies about real stuff. Like there is one, I don't even know what the story is, kind of hazy on it, but basically it was based on a true story. This guy got into some sort of crazy religion, government ideas, and he and his girlfriend or something kidnapped his nephews, and then they ended up having to stand out with the cops and blowing up the car, and the kids died. You know, and so I remember being very scared about that. Or like when Oklahoma City bombing happened, I left school. You know what I mean? Like I just couldn't deal.
Right.
So, I mean, and that's a totally different thing. That's not a movie. That's obviously real life horror, and I'm sure everybody was like that. But so I never really did the horror much. And then years and years later, you know, I was in New York making a TV show with the Whitest Kids and have been through since then 9/11 and, you know, just all sorts of craziness in New York. And then I got married to the wrong person and we ended up moving away to Oregon and having a kid out there, and she's still great. But the rest of it was really bad ideas because I kind of stepped away from the industry and everything and never really got fully back into it. But so after we got divorced in 2012, I started playing more shooters, like video games, and started watching more horror movies. And I feel like it's all coming from the same feeling, you know, which is like rage, not really rage, but just darkness. And, you know, since then I've discovered, you know, I've been diagnosed with severe anxiety and ADHD and stuff. And so that drew me into horror even more because, especially with severe anxiety, horror burns out your anxieties in a fun way. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because, you know, sometimes real anxiety, like severe, like clinical anxiety, it's not coming from something. It's just there.
Right. The dread.
You know, and it's looking for anything to make you worry about. I mean, I freak out about if I drop a fork on the ground sometimes. You know what I mean? And so you burn those chemicals out of your head a little bit watching Jason sneaking around trying to kill everybody. And then you're like, okay, well, now I can go about the rest of my night. You know, like
sure,
not
pick up that fork. No problem.
Right. You know what I mean? It's like, good, now I can kind of function. And it's not even just that, but it's a lot of fun. And it's about making yourself comfortable with that. And now sharing it with my daughter who's 12, almost 12. So she's, I'm kind of showing her, I don't know, I'm still really thinking about what I show her for horror movies before I do. But I'm just mainly trying to get her to be okay with the idea of fear. Because I think we fear. And that's stupid. We should... I mean, as a society, not as horror nerds. That's why we're cool, you know?
Definitely.
By the way, since we're both horror fans, happy Joe Bob season premiere night.
Yes, so. Very exciting, very exciting.
Anyways, you know, so it's kind of like supposed to be this dirty emotion that we're, you know what I mean? Like it's bad to get and like you don't want to pursue being afraid, but it's like, well, why not?
Yeah, it's very important to feel the full spectrum of emotions.
Sure.
And horror does such a great job of providing that catharsis of you spend all your time wondering about the worst case scenario, and there it is on screen happening.
Yeah.
And every time, well, not every time, but most times you see the villain overthrown or whatever, or you see them outsmarted in some way. You see the situation handled. And even if it's not a positive ending, you're still like, well, now I know what to expect. I'm prepared.
Right. And, I'm sure we're going to go through the movie chronologically, but as a parent, there's obviously some scenes in this that are just like, holy fucking shit. Do you have kids?
No, I don't,
Okay,
but
okay.
I can only
You understand.
imagine. Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
Man, yeah. So it's fun to play on all those fears, And when I consider something to show my daughter, it's like R-rated is not a problem. That's not really. I'm not really thinking ratings. I'm thinking complexity of the horror.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, I would not show her Possession because Possession, that is R-rated for a fucking reason. Okay. So, like I was telling you, so I showed her, I gave her the sex talk because I thought she was going to get in school first. I wanted to beat the rednecks to the punch with, like, not just being like, sex is bad, don't have it. If you do have it, only have it with a guy. And if you do have it with him, make sure you don't wear shoes in the kitchen for the rest of your life. I want to be like, hey, sex, I think I explained it. Sex is what happens when two people who are attracted to each other make each other feel good. Because it's like, I'm not going to say the fucking word love.
Yeah. That's not always part of it.
But so I explained it to her. I gave her the sex talk, and I'm like, well, now you're ready to watch Jason. And that's really all you need to know, And we also watched the first Halloween. But as far as something like Hellraiser, for example, I think the fears and the themes of Hellraiser are a little too complex for a 12-year-old. And it's not like she shuts her eyes if she thinks it's going to get gross. She also shuts her eyes at boobs, although I think she's starting to do this more at the sex scenes. Like, oh, what are they doing? Which is, fine, human curiosity. But I think, like, in Hellraiser, for example, she'd be like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, because they're dealing with some real weird emotions, and something like that.
Definitely. And there's a lot of, like, nonverbal communication as well happening.
Yeah, and I think she'd appreciate how cool it all looks, the Clive Barker-ness. But anyways, that's not the movie we're talking about. But just saying, like, fear is good. And so I've been trying to, incorporate that into parenting in a fun way. And I'm a Blu-ray collector. I have 300 and some odd. And so a lot of it is horror. And so she appreciates that. And she helps me. We've been making, like, indie video store style labels for the different sections.
Nice.
Coming up with our own ideas. So Halloween 3 I have an unhappy holidays section, but also it's like I couldn't come up with a clever name for it, so we just the supernatural section. But Halloween 3, and one of the reasons I love it is because it could fit into 7 different sections.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's got to be so exciting too, just because part of the appeal of horror also has been like the evocative art on it and sort of hitting that attraction revulsion walking through the aisles at the video store and everything, and people don't really get that anymore.
No,
except for us cool guys with our Blu-ray collection.
Right, because you collect them too, right?
Right.
Well, it's like we were talking about on our Twitter chat when we were setting this up. It's like, hey man, eventually the streaming thing is gonna tank.
That's right.
And it won't take before Twitter, so we'll have to find another way to talk to each other. But the streaming thing is gonna tank. And then people will be wandering the entertainment wasteland, and guys like us who have actual physical collections of movies be like, yeah, you can watch my movies, but I hope you like Italian horror from the 70s. I mean,
Let's see. I have all 10 Jason movies, or I guess we could watch The Princess Bride. I have that too.
Right. Yeah, I have that too. Yeah. You want to watch The Princess Bride, Deep Red, or The Car? Which rules, by the way. Those all rule.
Oh, absolutely. 3 bangers.
That was a movie I showed my daughter. She's like, I want to watch something medium scary. So I hadn't seen The Car yet. So we watched The Car. She's like, that wasn't medium scary. I'm like, that doesn't even move my needle. It's like the one shot. The kitchen shot in The Car is incredible. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. And sometimes that's enough to carry a movie.
Yeah. And it is. I mean, it's still a lot of fun. The whole idea is a lot of fun. But
sure.
That shot is that's
you walk
cinema.
out with that one in your mind, and when people talk to you about the movie, you go, "Oh yeah, that's the movie with that one with the one kitchen scene in it."
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, I should check it out." Yeah. So you're right though. Being able to, because sometimes I'll just I'll get home and my daughter's already home, and she's just like sitting, looking at the different sections of the video shelf, and you don't get to do that anymore. Like she doesn't know what that is.
Yeah,
she doesn't. This is a movie we both walked by as kids. I'm 42, so I was like in the heyday.
Right.
And we had I lived in a town, 20,000 people. We had multiple independent video stores and a Blockbuster and a Hollywood Video. You know, like even a few people could support that much. We also had like every chain pizzeria at the same time at one point.
Damn, you were living the high life.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Pizza and movies. Well, they're still the two best things. But, you know, she'll never know the thrill of walking through a shop being like, what the hell is Pigs? Like, I'll always remember the cover of the movie Pigs. I've never seen it.
That's exactly right. You just remember the cover, and it looms large in your memory.
It's like a bloody... And so, by the way, and I mentioned I have ADHD, so you're going to have to really corral this if you're trying to get the movie going.
Well, all right. Well, so I did first want to ask, do you have a favorite subgenre within horror, something that really gets you going? And do you have a favorite one from these fun, fancy subgenres that you have been putting together yourself, something like Unhappy Holidays?
Yeah, Unhappy Holidays is a good one. You know what we came up with? It's not quite horror, but it's a... It's a section I call Scum, and it's got Deadbeat for Dawn, the movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. Fight Club is in there.
Nice.
Cheap Thrills. Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Covered on the show as the best horror movie ever made, in fact.
Cheap Thrills?
Yeah.
Okay.
With Dave Koechner?
Zach's wife is in it, Sarah.
Oh, wow.
Sarah Paxton.
They were married.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's on there. You know, some movies like that. Like,
Nice.
and some of those, I can't remember everything on there. Some of them do. Oh, The Hills Have Eyes is on there. And you could put that under monsters. I have a monsters section, but you know, so I love the scumbags, but also I do just like monster stuff, and I like alien stuff. I love The Thing. I love Alien and Aliens. Oh, the original The Thing from Another World is awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
My daughter and I just watched, because there was a Warner archive sale, we watched The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman for the first time ever. Have you seen that?
I haven't actually gone to that one.
It's like not even 70 minutes long, but you still kind of get to a point where you're like, okay, let's go, you know, but it's worth it. I think watching it again, knowing how the structure is, it will be fun. So.
Nice. Yeah, hey, 70 minutes, anyone can find time for that.
Hell yeah. But yeah, so, and when it comes to genres, you know, I'm a guy who... It's like, okay, this is a tangent, but I swear it's going to make a point. So when I was in high school, I was in a ska band, and people still make fun of me for that. Which is fine, you should. But also, my whole thing with ska music, they're like, so did you love Real Big Fish? No, I like the bands that use ska as like a tool to make songs, and maybe they had a lot of other different things going on in the songs too. A band called Blue Meanies, or who
Coming
else
back.
think?
They're coming
Voodoo
back.
Glow Skulls. Blue Meanies are coming back?
Yeah, they're doing like one show at Riot Fest, I think.
Holy shit. Blew my mind, man. I saw them at one of their last reunion shows in like 2003 or something. I feel the same way with genres of movies where it's like, don't box yourself in too much.
Yeah.
And sure, of course, Halloween 3 is a horror movie, but there's so many different little genres happening inside of it. And those are the ones I like the best. You know what I mean? Like, just they have a lot under the hood.
Yeah, definitely. So, as you've mentioned, the movie we're talking about today is 1982's Halloween 3. This is one that can be divisive, so I'm curious to hear about just your enjoyment of the franchise writ large. Are you a fan of Halloween? Do you like individual selections? Or is this kind of like the crown jewel, the one you like?
Halloween 1 and this, I mean, the original 79 Halloween, right? 79? Yeah. And this are like the only two Halloween movies I think I've seen more than once. I've watched 2, 4, 5, and 6. I haven't watched the later two Jamie Lee Curtis ones, although I've heard one of those is good.
H2O is pretty good. It's got some juice.
Right, and then I've heard Resurrection is terrible. But and I haven't seen the Robbie Zombie ones, although I definitely have like curiosity. Are you thumbing down that?
I'm big thumbs down on the Rob Zombie ones.
So the last movie podcast I did with some kids in the fall was about, and I don't know, I think it came out. Yeah, it was about House of a Thousand Corpses, and me talking about how much I love it. But
that's one I actually got to get back to, because I had historically been really like just not into Rob Zombie's work. I respected him as someone who had a vision and was getting out there and making it happen, but they just historically were not for me. And then somebody picked Devil's Rejects for this podcast, and it really blew me away. I thought it was really fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the Munsters movie came out, and I genuinely thought the Munsters movie was pretty fun.
It's not bad. You know, I watched it with my daughter, which, you know, having a kid, there's a lot of hard things about parenting, but you can use it as an excuse to watch dumb shit that your friends would otherwise make fun of you for. So yeah, I've seen both Sing movies and they're good. Fuck you.
go.
But they are. But no, the Monsters was fun too. But so I haven't seen those. And then I've seen the Halloween 28, whatever that new one, the new one. And then Halloween Kills. I did not see Halloween Ends, but I'm aware of how it ends. And I'm like, I don't need to see that.
So this is actually very interesting to me because I'll say that to me, Halloween Ends is the closest to Halloween 3.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is very clearly trying to do something different. It's having a hard time breaking out from the yoke of Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
And there is sort of a desperation to the ending of trying to get away from that. And honestly, I wish that it didn't have the Jamie Lee Curtis story continued in Halloween Ends, because if it was just about this kid in this town and like maybe like he's haunted by Michael Myers in a less like literal way, it's just like he's like infected the town sort of thing, I think that it would have really been like a home run. As is, still like fine for me. It's not in my even top 3 Halloweens probably, but it might make the top 5. Might make the top 5.
Oh, there you go.
So top half of the movies, that's not bad.
There's a lot of them. You know what's funny is there's a few franchises out there that have name problems. Halloween is one. There's 3 fucking movies called Halloween and 2 called Halloween 2. You know? And then, so the only other franchise that's more confusing is Rambo. First Blood.
You're telling me that First Blood, Rambo Part 2?
It's crazy. Yeah, First Blood, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, Rambo Last Blood. What the fuck are we talking about, you know?
I know what you're talking about. Makes perfect sense to me.
Right, and there's some other franchise too. That Halloween and Rambo, there's one other one that's just like, what are we talking? I can't remember what it was, but
the Scream ones are getting a little
yeah, well, everything having
too.
to like just like the whole trend of just like we'll just use the name of the first movie. It's like no, this is confusing.
I think that they should embrace the number. Just accept that you're at 7.
I love the numbers, and I like the colon thing. Marvel really popularized that, and I like that because it's kind of got an old school feel. It's got like a serial, like you're watching a serial feel, like the name of this adventure.
There you go.
You know, but which Halloween 3 has both.
It sure does. It sure does. So, although sequels weren't new by any stretch, I mean, the Universal Monsters built a whole damn universe back in the 30s and 40s. It is fair to say that sequels weren't as common at the time of Halloween.
Right.
As Tommy Lee Wallace said in the commentary in 2012, not quite the disease it has become now, which I just thought was ironic, considering the safety of the sequel has only become more and more tempting as budgets have ballooned out of control. And now in 2022, 9 of the top 10 highest grossing movies were sequels, and the one that wasn't was The Batman, which is basically a sequel since it's still trading on the name.
Wow. Those are top money-making films, you said?
Yes, highest grossing.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly count The Batman as a sequel. I mean, and I think I actually really thought that particular one was cool, but yeah, you know, it's a franchise thing, you know. It's unless you went really crazy with it and like had Batman, I don't know. I don't even know what I would say. But, you know, if you went so nuts with it that you couldn't consider it a part of the story anymore, sure.
Yeah, right.
If you did Gotham by Gaslight or whatever that one where he turns into a vampire, you know, do that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Serious Place on Serious Earth. Just trap him in the asylum the whole time, and he's, like, basically a bat. That would be sick.
Is that the one that Grant Morrison wrote?
I think that is him, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot of good Batman. But you're right. So at the time, you know, you're saying that Halloween 3 came out, it was not such a common part of our lives.
Right. And Halloween sort of, I mean, it didn't create the slasher genre, but for simplicity's sake, I will say that it popularized the slasher.
Yes.
And slashers in particular lend themselves to sequels thanks to the serialization in their very nature. Stalk, kill, rinse and repeat until the end. So if you can figure out a way to expand that into 2 or more movies by subverting the triumph at the end, the formula can continue ad nauseum.
Yeah, totally. You know, it's especially like you said, it's kind of built into the kind of story that a slasher tells, but you're killing off most of the cast. You can get a new cast every time, except for maybe that one hot actress that we think is going to do great, so we'll keep her on. Well, that's what they do.
Right,
I
for sure.
I meant hot in that sense as like someone with a lot of heat, not someone who's
their star meter
sexy.
is way high. I mean, why not both, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. A lot of times one feeds the other. Especially in this country's film industry.
That's right.
Although, but that's a good way to say, well, but not for Tom Atkins. Although I guess he has a sexual magnetism.
Yeah,
right?
he's got a charm to him.
Yeah.
So Halloween comes out, though, and it's a hit. And the studio had made it clear that Halloween 2 was happening with or without Carpenter and Hill. And so they get to work on it and said, okay, who should direct this bad boy? And Tommy Lee Wallace, along with being a childhood friend of Carpenter's, had worked in various capacities on Dark Star, Precinct 13, The Fog, and crucially, had co-edited Halloween. So he's a big part of establishing the tone. He knows the movie, and because of this, for about 5 minutes, he's lined up to direct Halloween 2. The problem is that he didn't like the script. And so he respectfully bowed out. He said, hey, hit me up next time. And they took him at his word. And when it came time to make Halloween 3, came back to him and said, do you still want to make one of these?
I was just watching him talk about this on the part of the documentary I watched, and he was basically like, they said it wasn't about Michael Myers, so I said I'm in. Like, he didn't want to do Michael Myers, you know?
And Halloween 2 had been a huge hit. It made over $25 million just in the U.S., And so Halloween 3 was greenlit and fast-tracked. It had 8 weeks for pre-production, a $2.5 million budget, which was nothing to sneeze at. And the one condition, as you said, that Carpenter and Hill alluded to, when they agreed to produce it, they established that it wasn't going to be a true sequel, but more create an anthology series. They wanted a larger scale Twilight Zone or Night Gallery kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And in fact, in the November 1982 issue of Twilight Zone magazine, Carpenter talked about how he had hoped the original Halloween had, quote, created a whole new season to show films, every year a distinct story providing young directors like Wallace a chance to direct under the tutelage of people like Carpenter and Hill, which I think what the idea of Halloween 3 is brilliant. Just have it take place on Halloween. Yeah.
And that's what Tommy Lee Wallace says. He's like, I still think this idea is $1 million idea. And it is a great idea. I mean, if you had that, people would like it. The problem was they called it Halloween.
Right.
And I actually, that's kind of a topic I like to think about a lot because, like, I love the Manchurian Candidate, the original one. Then they remade it in the early, mid-2000s. Jonathan Demme, I believe, directed it, and Denzel Washington was in it. Have you seen that, the remake of it?
Not the remake, no.
So it's good, but the problem with it is that it's called the Manchurian Candidate. You know, so it's like the whole time you're like, but this isn't, you know. Also, BioShock 2. You can't make a sequel to the greatest written video, one of the best written video games of all time. And they come out and they do like a very fun, cool new adventure, but it should have been called like Underwater Violence. And then everyone would love it, you know? There's a few things like that where it's like, it's too bad you had to call it this because otherwise.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, even as recently as the newest All Quiet on the Western Front adaptation, I mean, I didn't love it or anyway as sort of a not ripoff. It's very similar to Come and See, but less effective in my opinion. And
dude, Come and See. How can you get more effective than Come and See?
This is what I'm saying is they've already done it. So why are we even still going back to this well? But then on top of that, what is most impactful for me about All Quiet on the Western Front is the moments when they leave the war on and like go back to the village on leave, and they just feel so completely alienated from the people around them in that like even if they're surviving, they are completely alien to the human race now at this point because of the toll that war has on them. And so they took all of that stuff out of the newest movie and basically made it like war pigs. I mean, which fine, great message, but
so they're trying to go for more of a 1917 thing where it's all like real time kind of war fighting kind of stuff.
Yeah. And you know, not for me, that's a fine 3-star anti-war movie.
Sure.
But it's not All Quiet on the Western Front.
Right. I mean, that's the meat and potatoes. You think about what's one of the best books about war ever written? Catch-22. How much war is in that book? Like none.
None.
Yeah. You know? I think it's been a long time since I read it. I should read it again.
They fly over a bunch. They fly a few missions, but a lot of it is like at the barracks and stuff. Yeah,
there's never a guy in the trenches like, I'm never going to see my daughter again. You know, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so it's too bad. But, you know, so I think that rigidity of what if you're remaking something or adapting something or making a sequel or something, a new franchise, there's so much of a rigidity that was clearly not there. It wasn't, that rigidity was not as set in stone when they allowed these guys to make Halloween 3. They're like, sure, make this fucking, witch laser bug movie and fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is interesting that it's like they're going through a very similar thing where it's like if they had just been like, oh, we're not trying to cash in on the name Halloween, we're not trying to cash in on the name All Quiet on the Western Front, then great, it's a totally unique and enjoyable movie. But
yeah, well, I think,
and I actually also do still like that it would have been Halloween 3 to be honest.
Yeah, I still like that because you know what, and I wrote down notes when I watched it today, but there's a scene towards the end where Tom Atkins is in a room and the movie Halloween is playing, and the music from the movie, what do you call that when the music in a scene is coming from something in actually... Diegetic. There you go. I don't remember all that stuff. Anyways, so, but it's actually adding, so the music from Halloween is actually being used in the scene in Halloween 3, and like, what's awesome, too, is he starts getting antsy because he knows the movie's almost over. And when the movie's over, that's when everybody dies because the commercial's going to come on.
Ooh, beautiful coming together that way.
Yeah.
So Deborah Hill had the concept for this movie, Witchcraft Meets the Computer Age. John said, run with that. They ran to Nigel Neal of the Quatermass series, which John was a fan of. Then John did a rewrite of Nigel's script, and Tommy did a rewrite of John's. And he said that John was around to help, but careful not to cast too long of a shadow, which was ideal. And also the inside job placement of the crew, like Dean Cundy, really helped him feel supported for his first endeavor. Tom Atkins, in the commentary, called him the Dean of Darkness, not once but twice.
He called Dean Cundy that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Truly made me laugh both times.
There's some actors where it's like, God, I wish I could hang out with that guy. Tom Atkins is definitely one. Yeah, for sure. He just seems like he's fun. Yeah, that's very interesting though. And I was, one of the first things I wrote down when I was watching it is it almost feels, right when it starts, it almost feels like it's literally made by John Carpenter in that time frame, because right around that time he was making Escape from New York, The Thing, a little bit later Prince of Darkness and They Live, and Halloween 3 has a lot of tonal similarities to those.
Definitely.
Apocalyptic, also weird science stuff happening, and nothing over-explained.
Right. Crucially, I think.
Absolutely. Zach Kreger from Whitest Kids, Barbarian. I think one of Barbarian's greatest strength is the very bare bones explanation. And when I saw people afterwards being like, "Be cool to see a prequel or a sequel," it's like, no. It'd be cool to see a prequel. You want to see what else that guy was up to? What are you talking about?
It's just angst. It's just a movie angst.
Totally, man. It's just some fucking asshole going around being horrible to women. Let's not watch that. Yeah, we get that enough in real life.
We got the good one, and this is perfect.
Yeah, so for I always love that, the not giving us too much. And Dan Hurley, he does have his little monologue towards the end, but it's a monologue from like this very weird angle, so it doesn't quite explain it to us.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
So this inside track is also how Atkins got cast. Deborah suggested him to Tommy, and they were all already friends socially with him from working on The Fog. And then also Adrienne Barbeau was married to John Carpenter and friends from Grease with Garn Stevens, who was married to Tom and also plays Margie Gutman in this. So there you go. Tommy said it was a short conversation.
Sure. And the crew was... somebody, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Deborah Hill. I can't remember who it was.
He was the costume designer in that doc.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny that we're talking about the same documentary. Okay, but she says somewhere, it's like almost the same crew from Halloween 2.
Yeah.
It works. And is Atkins he's in Halloween 2, isn't he?
I don't think so, no.
He was in The Fog.
Right, he's in The Fog. He has a small role in Escape from New York as well.
Right, okay.
There you go. And I do think that he works really well. Like even though they're like, I think you should cast Tom Atkins, yes, you should have cast Tom Atkins. They don't want
Yeah.
him to be the pretty boy. They
Right.
wanted someone with some seasoning, they said.
Yeah.
And I think it does make the movie work with a little everyman believability with some flaws in there.
Yeah, you know, I on his note, I wrote something down here. Oh, I love when like old kind of working man actors, the actors that just go to work, and he explains he says in that Tom Atkins that, hey, I just do jobs. Like I don't pick my movies. I just take the work. So you know, but he was already at the point even then that he being in it is going to add some, like you said, some spice to it, but kind of giving it some credibility. And then you get Dan O'Hurley on it too, who is a respected actor. And what I didn't know is that he also had some knowledge about the Celtic stuff.
Yeah, big old Irish guy.
Yeah, so, but anyways, I love when old kind of workman actors like that pick a weird-ass movie to be in and kind of give it this credibility. I'm in the middle of rewatching all of Twin Peaks, and Dan O'Hurley connection, but he's one of several old seasoned TV actors that show up in that show and just give this weird-ass show and movie and whatever some gravity, you know?
For sure, absolutely. That was also pulling sort of the Pleasance type, crucial to sort of getting that same kind of feel. And in discussing the influences for the movie, Tommy said it was a difficult assignment to try and appeal to the same audience while still being distinct. So Halloween was first and foremost, but right up there with Halloween, looming large, was Don Siegel's 1956 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, even describing Halloween 3 as a pod movie, not a knife movie.
Yeah, he said that. Which it's cool. I like that. And because it's not, you know, there's some really great kills in it, but it's not a slasher movie.
Yeah.
You know?
And even as producers and director alike tried to make sure it was distinct, the studio embodied the movie's warning about the power of mass media. Commercials and trailers for the movie deliberately confused the issue. They barely used scenes from the movies. There was no explanation of the story. They even used the tagline, "The Night No One Comes Home," which, yes, a great tagline, but playing off the first movie's tagline,
Right.
"The Night He Came Home."
So did they kind of sort of try to make people think Michael Myers would be in it?
I think that they did, and this is obviously far louder and wide-reaching than John talking to Twilight Zone magazine.
Yeah. You're talking about the movie's marketing campaign.
Right.
Yeah.
And Tommy called it creating a built-in flop, with the audiences understandably feeling like the rug had been pulled from under them.
Yeah, like almost like they were being pranked, you know?
Exactly. Pranked by Dan O'Hurley.
Yeah, and totally. Which, like you said, it really ties in with the actual what's happening in the movie, and I really love that about it because it is. I do think Halloween 3, and now it is starting to get its due, you know, because we're both talking about. The reason we're both talking about the same documentary is because we both have the cool Blu-ray that somebody put out of it, you know, that Shout Factory did. So, you know, people like it now, but I do think it's got a lot of layers to it and got a lot of interesting things going on in there. And I can't imagine what it'd be like seeing it in the theater not knowing.
Yeah.
Because, like, even knowing, watching it tonight, and I just watched it, 6 months ago for Halloween, even knowing what happens, it's still like, holy shit, some of that stuff, you know? Like, the bugs and the snakes, I mean, you're never totally ready for that. It's always like, holy, that's fucking crazy, you know?
The one that got me, I literally watched this movie 3 times in the last 4 days because I watched it once, and then I watched it with one of the commentaries, and then I watched it with the second commentary.
Sure.
And every time, the moment where he, like, crunches the guy's face in the hospital, I truly flinched every time.
It's crazy. Well, there's also, it's the first, like, one reason I love this movie is you don't find out really what's happening until towards the end, but it's not like a twist.
Yeah.
It's just a slow unveiling of it. And so that's like one of the first weird things that happens. Before that, you see the robot get crushed by the cars, or you don't know it's a robot, but the guy gets crushed by the cars and he's acting weird.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, so then he grabs his face, and the way he does it is so weird because doesn't he take his glove off and then he like extends 2 fingers?
Yeah.
He makes a fist and extends 2 fingers.
Oh, it's really weird.
Yeah, the whole thing is so strange. You're like, what? And then he just like mushes his head in, and it's like, holy shit! And the effects are pretty fucking cool.
Yeah,
there's some really great crushed heads, melted heads.
For sure.
The bug mouth when the lady gets shot in the
like
mouth,
exploded out.
Fucking man, yeah, dude. Because that's the thing is like you haven't seen that before. You know what I mean? You watch that movie like I've never seen that.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
I mean, Fulci probably jerked off to it. You know what I mean? So.
Finally, somebody has received my message.
Yeah, because he just loves. He wants to destroy people's faces. So I bet he liked that movie because you see several faces get completely fucking mangled.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I bet he loved it.
So Tommy Wiseau, here's a quote from him about the distribution. He said, "Universal, I feel, simply blew it. We went into this with the understanding that this was not a true sequel, and I think the mistake for John and Deborah and me was not to insist it be called something else. Instead, Universal completely buried the fact that it wasn't a true sequel. I think what they really wanted was just a big opening weekend. Everybody who saw it felt burned. No Jamie Lee, no knife, no shape, no Donald Pleasance, and the advertising really hadn't told that fact. And the way that it did come out does seem to support that about wanting just a big opening weekend because it was released October 22nd. It played in more theaters during the first 2 weeks than any other film at the time, ranking in the top 3 both weeks. And then when the relatively poor third week hit, they reduced the screens from over 1,000 to under 200. Jeez. And it was done by early December. So it basically got a month because then the bad word of mouth started to get out there.
Man, what if that came out during the internet? It'd be fine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It probably would be.
Like, because people would be like, oh, shit, you got to see Halloween 3. You are not going to believe this shit, you know? I feel like it'd be similar to Barbarian. Barbarian's internet word of mouth. I mean, haven't sat down. I don't know about all the science and numbers behind that film's success. But, I mean, people were saying, you got to see this. Don't fucking read anything about it. Go, you know?
Just go. Yeah, exactly. Just go.
And, I mean, I saw it in the theater 2 times. And a lot of people went back and saw it multiple times. And other people were going because they were hearing about, what the fuck is this thing? You know?
Yes.
And I would have to think that with, you know, there were horror fans then, like there's horror fans now, but it was harder to get connected. And whereas now it's too easy to talk to people because you don't want... People have too much access to each other now, and and I can say that as somebody who's like had a thing that came out that people enjoyed. So now, like, I love meeting fans, but sometimes it's like, man, they can like talk to me whenever they want to. Now I can choose not to read it sometimes and wait. Like, I'll read these messages tomorrow, but still, sometimes there's too much access. But all I'm saying is, like, when Halloween 3 came out, if people had a little bit easier ability to be like, hey, you should check out, like, maybe it would have been fine.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But here's the other thing. What if it was successful? Then they would do sequels to that?
Great point.
Because Tommy Lee or somebody in that doc said, you know, when he was talking about how he really enjoyed the idea of having Halloween be an anthology series, he was saying that each new story could have its own branching sequels and stuff. Yeah. It's like, man, I don't think... I want to see what happens after Halloween 3 ends.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I definitely don't. I love, not to jump literally to the ending, but I love the ambiguity.
Oh, the ending is great, yeah. And well, that's one thing I wrote down too. Is as one of the main reasons I love it is I love ambiguous endings, and Carpenter's really good at that.
For sure. So there wasn't a lot of public fandom or support on home video, and plenty of critics railed against the gore and its association with horror at all, along with Ebert's insane review, where he seems to think that it takes place immediately after Halloween 2, and the lab tech is going through Michael's ashes.
What? Oh my God, I didn't know about this at all. I gotta read that. Roger Ebert wrote a crazy review, huh?
Yes, it's so bizarre. No wonder he was confused if he's like, this lab tech is going through Michael Myers and being like, why is he metal and plastic?
Dude, okay, can you imagine watching Halloween 3 thinking A, that it's in the same universe, and B, that like halfway through you're like, Michael Myers is a robot? Oh my God. Man, I wish I would know that. I found myself at an award show many years ago sitting like one or two chairs in front of Roger Ebert. This was, he was towards the end of his life when he had a lot of his face removed, unfortunately, from cancer and stuff. Right. But he was there, And I was like, man, it'd be great to talk to him. But like, man, I wish I could have asked him about that. I was like, dude,
Do you still think that Michael is in there?
Yeah, what was your angle going into Halloween 3? Like, had you seen the other ones? Were you high? Like, what was happening with you, you know?
Tell us, Raj.
Yeah, I want to hear it, man.
There were, though, at least some contemporary critics who did respond positively to the movie.
Huh.
Vincent Canby from the New York Times said, Halloween 3 means to be funny and frequently is. The sets, including the photogenic little town in Northern California and the mad toy maker's Dr. No-like laboratory, are unusually good. Mr. Wallace clearly has a fondness for the cliches he is parodying and does it with style. I think that is a spot-on review.
Yeah, it is a movie that is kind of about working in entertainment in some ways, and like you said, advertising and corporations and all that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. And he said the reaction really hurt, which I can obviously understand, but that the growing fandom that it has found has been all the more gratifying for it. And as we sort of alluded to, I do think that because Halloween 3 went through this, that it does emphasize the satire and commentary on commercialism that's in it. As we'll mention in the plot discussion, ultimately the motivation is to return to the primitive origins of Halloween. And to do so, the villain uses the medium against itself.
Yeah.
The masks, which, while very cool, are stock Halloween symbols. And as we see with the constant ad, what's being sold is the Silver Shamrock brand. As clearly demonstrated by Dr. Chalice's kids, they parrot it, they're programmed just like the robots to respond to the name, and also just like the audience, expecting and excited to see the thing I know. Michael Myers will be here.
Right. And then... Oops. And you know, the Silver Shamrock ads are interesting because, yes, they use the old Halloween iconography. I think that's how you say that word. But also, it's, there's, like, in the commercial, there's just as much Silver Shamrock logo, and they say it in the song, you know? So
that's right.
It's very corporate brainwashing, you know?
And this, in addition to complaints from characters who are dealing with Silver Shamrock, like making the little guy wait in line now that they're doing big business despite the merchandise slipping. It really resonates with the complaints and reluctance to continue the series from Hill and Carpenter, and does create this sort of alignment between Silver Shamrock and the Halloween franchise itself.
Wow, yeah.
One other thing that I thought was kind of interesting that I don't really see a lot of people talking about is that the Silver Shamrock goons, these robots, are established as not feeling pain or emotion or anything. They have super strength. They wear a monotone outfit. In a way, they're exactly what was demanded. They're more Michael Myers proliferated. There's several of them.
Wow, yeah. And they're fucking suits. They're entertainment industry suits. They're super powerful, and they have no emotions.
Yeah. And Cochran also says that their skin is basically just a fancy mask.
Ooh.
And one of them is even played by Dick Warlock, who was Myers in Halloween 2.
Oh, yeah. Wow. You know, I'm sure you're, like we established earlier, you're quite a bit younger than me. But I assume in some ways you're more mature because every time I watch anything in which Dick Warlock's name is displayed on screen, I pause it. And I take a picture of it and I send it to my siblings. I'm the oldest of 6 kids, and we have a group chat, so I just send it to everybody.
Yeah, I don't do that too.
It is the best name.
It's great. And
he seems like
really
a
great.
cool dude, so it's like, congratulations on being cool and having the best name.
That's a really good one. Second for me, Imogen Poots. That's another classic.
Imogen Poots is like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, I love that. That's a great name. Yeah, there's a few really good ones out there, but yeah, Dick Warlock.
A classic.
Everybody likes one of those. At least. I don't know.
No, I'm on board with that. I'm on board. So let's get into the actual movie.
Sure.
The great opening pulls double duty in a pretty interesting way. It does again align itself with the first two by using this pumpkin reveal, but the more overtly synthy score and the digital nature of the pumpkin signal that shift towards the sci-fi element.
Yep, for sure.
The date cards also align it with the original and tell us that it's October, Saturday the 23rd, and a man on foot is chased down to a junkyard and attacked by some goons in suits. An hour later, it's pouring rain, and the news is reporting on the disappearance of a Stonehenge stone, before an ad for Silver Shamrock novelty plays, and God, this ad, I mean, we have already touched on it. It's the perfect amount of annoying. I love it. I could see myself chanting it as a kid, demanding a mask, or even today, if I'm being honest.
Well, right. And you know what's interesting? And I wrote this down, and then you and I talked about, you and I both have experience actually having to make commercials, and I have had experience making radio commercials in the past. The thing is with that, so some people think, and they're not wrong, but some people think that the best plan of attack when you're making a commercial is to make it annoying. Because it's going to drive into somebody's head.
Sure.
Me, I think, like, you do want it to be memorable, but you can do that and still have it be enjoyable. But some people think, you know, there is validity to that because it does work, unfortunately.
Oh, sure. I mean, the fact that I immediately was like, Cars for Kids, I remember the head-on ads as well were a fucking nightmare.
Oh, yeah. You know, and that's just how brains work, I guess. And so that's one shitty thing about advertising is they figure out, it's like figuring out how brains work. But, like... To me, it's like, well, I kind of feel like I understand how somebody listening to a commercial would work, but why don't we still make this an enjoyable process for them?
Right. I mean, you want them to have a positive association with the product.
Right. Instead of, the whole making an annoying song thing is a very cynical approach where it's like, we're just using your body's chemistry inside of your fucking face to make you remember this. Like, we don't care if you like it or not. We're fucking hijacking liquid into your skull.
Eat it up. Eat this yummy slop.
Garmembers, You know, it's just fucking, you know, it's just pain and suffering. Feed it into my face. But so Silver Shamrock, because that song's so annoying. And one thing that's interesting, and not to get too ahead in the plot, but I don't know, this is kind of a weird aside, but so I think there's something to be said, or maybe studied with this movie, of which characters like the Silver Shamrock song and ad, and which characters like, Christ, turn that shit off. Because I feel like the good guys are always like, this fucking, get it off, you know? And like the kids and some of the bad guys are like, it's a great commercial. You know?
They're right, I think. Maybe that makes me a villain, but damn it, they're right.
Well, but again, it goes back to, you know, what approach is it? Is it entertaining? Sure, a little bit. It also definitely gets into that like caveman level, just annoying, trying to drive into your skull.
If I was hearing it, the amount that I was hearing actual ads, then any affection that I have for it would immediately plummet.
Right. Well, right, because we have, us in our world, have the advantage of only, because already, when you think about the Silver Shamrock song, let's get into some psychology here. When you think about the Silver Shamrock song right now, even though you know how advertising works, you are still associating it positively because it's in a movie you love. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, if it was just out in the world advertising something real, we'd probably be like, oh, God, you know?
Silver Shamrock again this year?
How do you do it? Jeez, God. It's like they bought like 15 spaces for a day and put them all in 1 hour. You know, it's like, okay.
So Tommy Lee Wallace actually said that's all him, all the vocals and instrumentation.
That's great.
Namely because I worked cheap.
Oh, that's funny.
They went for something in the public domain as possible and felt London Bridge is falling down had that insidious quality that they were looking for, which I frankly agree with.
Yeah, have you ever heard the Whitest Kids album, the audio album we have?
No, I don't think I knew that existed.
Yeah, it's not many people do. Put out in 2006 or 2007, and the first track is playing on the whole idea of evil albums and music and CDs making kids do bad things, and it's me as the CD.
Oh, fun.
And so I start talking the kids into, like, you should start cutting yourself, and you should smoke pot, and it's not funny to say this anymore, but, like, you should take a gun to school, like, all this crazy shit. And then I'm like, oh, your mom's coming. Then I start singing, London Bridge is falling down. So, like, we were using that song, and I agree with what Tommy Wallace says, because we were using it as sinister, you know? And is. It's the tune is sinister. The words are sinister, too.
Yeah. Before we move on from these masks, I gotta know, which one are you going for if you have the choice?
Oh, the masks?
Yeah.
I kind of like the pumpkin one, but the witch one, they're all cool. I'd probably go pumpkin.
Pumpkin's a classic. I think I gotta go for the skeleton. I'm a big Skele fan, and when you see it on someone shortly, I'm like, damn, that mask was sick.
Yeah, it does look cool. And the witch one is cool, too. That's the thing, is, like, you kind of understand why these kids are so bananas for these. Because, like, you know, when I was a kid, we had Halloween masks, but, like, sometimes it's that cheap plastic thing. Like, I was a kid in the 80s where a Spider-Man costume was a plastic Spider-Man mask that was just the front of his face that you put on with a rubber band that's uncomfortable, and then a plastic shirt that's not even his costume. It's just another picture of Spider-Man. And that was so many kids' costumes in the 80s, you know? Rainbow Bright, whatever, Spider-Man, Superman, Star Wars, whatever. It was just like a half-face plastic mask and then a picture of the thing. It's just like, okay. So that's the point that these masks in this movie, like having been a kid who went to who had several Halloweens in the 80s that I can sort of remember, it's like, wow, like those masks, yeah, everybody would have been fucking crazy for those masks. They're really good, you know?
Hell yeah. Don Post killing it with the, he did the witch and the skeleton, and then those already existed. And then they built the pumpkin one. So there you go. Built
so Don Post has a Halloween mask company, right? I mean, that's, they're still going, aren't they?
Yeah. And still some fun stuff. So there you go.
Yeah, very cool.
Tommy has actually said that the 3 in the title of Halloween 3 actually refers to these masks rather than its relationship to the previous Halloween movies. With the ad saying, don't forget to get one of the big Halloween 3. Yes, 3 masks to choose from.
Oh, that's the ad in the movie says that.
The ad says it, and then he pointed it out and said, this is supposed to be what Halloween 3 is referencing.
That's interesting. I like that. And of course, that's probably a retroactively thing after they already knew it would be the movie they're making was Halloween 3. So, yeah, but I like that. I love it when people do that because it's like, you don't need that to enjoy it, but it is kind of fun to hear about it and think about it. And next time I watch it, I'll be thinking about that, you know? There
you go. And this is my own little spice that I'm going to add on here. The fact that it's Roman numerals instead of the digit looks like dang old Stonehenge.
Oh, yeah, good point. For sure. So and that was probably intentional too, you know?
Yeah,
they were probably thinking about that.
I mean, hey, it's an easy win.
Yeah, why not?
The gas station attendant there is shocked by the man we saw getting chased, who stumbles in and collapses, clutching a pumpkin mask like the one we just saw in the ad, and he gasps out, they're coming, and indeed they are, as we see one outside watching the two set off for the hospital, accompanied by a little laser synth sting. Pew!
Yeah, so good. And then is that when it kicks in with classic Carpenter? Din, 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 din. So good.
And we cut to Tom Atkins' character, Dan Chalice, arriving at his ex-wife's house and greets his kids with 2 bullshit masks, not like the amazing Silver Shamrock ones. Mom got us, you deadbeat.
Those are the masks that I'm talking about. The ones he has is what I'm talking about. The cheap rubber band, just a plastic thing that goes on the front of your face.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Tom Atkins. Just kidding, I love you.
This is Helen, played by Nancy Loomis, named like the Doctor, which was shocking to me. And then and then on top of that, she was actually in all 3 of the movies in some fashion or another.
Yeah.
And she's the ex-wife of Tommy Lee Wallace in real life.
Yeah.
Tons of connections.
She's interesting, man. And she got involved in politics. I can't remember. She has had an interesting life since
all over the place.
Since her time with the Carpenter crew, you know.
Tom Atkins' character is also having some beer while being on call as a doctor. A fact that we discover when he gets beeped about the guy we saw collapse. Now getting brought into room 13.
Oh,
that was a funny little thing where, you know, they were sitting around like, should we? Is it too on the nose?
Do it.
I agree. Not too on the nose.
I just watched Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and Kincaid's dog is named Jason in that movie.
Wow.
They're just fucking
New line back at it.
Yeah.
The man comes to in a state of horror when he hears the Silver Shamrock theme, and he warns them that they're going to kill us all of us. The gas station guy gets the hell out of there at this, which really makes me laugh.
I love that. I think I wrote that down.
Essex Smith is his name, which good
What,
shout
the
out
actor?
to Essex. Yes.
Yes, Essex Smith. Yeah. No, I guess I didn't write anything down, but yeah, I just love how he's like, fuck this. You know, it's
they're
like,
gonna kill us. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. And that, like, think about that. I wonder if, like, Jordan Peele has watched that guy, because, like, you know, when he made Get Out, the reason it's called Get Out is that's like a response in those communities sometimes where they're shouting at the screen like, get the fuck out of there. What are you doing? And so this guy's like, fuck it. Like, this is bad.
Let me leg it the hell out. And he's right to do it. And that's why we get to see him in later on.
Yeah, it's like what a few people we see later on.
That's right. They sedate our victim here, and Tom Atkins is having a good old time flirting with the elderly nurse. But the camera reveals that our suited goon has infiltrated the hospital. He stalks the halls, the click-clack of his shoes causing a fluttering but not a stirring from the victim until it's too late. And as we described, this death is brutal, later described as pulling his skull apart.
Yes. So awesome. But so when they say he pulled his skull apart, I'm like, well, what direction? Because it looked to me like he smushed it together.
I think you grip it and then you yank.
You know what's cool about it? It's like because of what we find out later about them, it's like, oh, so it's not something a human would think to do.
Yeah. It's also very funny to me in the commentary when Tommy Lee Wallace is distracted by this mid-story, and he's just like, oh, that is gross. Shit.
Well, but like you said earlier, it sticks with you, man. That's a crazy, like, I just watched it a couple hours ago, but I can still picture, like, the,
Yeah,
the
a little
face.
bit of blood, like, dripping down.
Yeah, and the eye, there's some eyeball goo, I think, in that scene, too, and it's just, like, it's gross. It's good.
It sure is. You also get a great shot of the mask on the floor, intercut with several other details, which I really like.
Yeah.
The nurse stumbles on him cleaning his gloves, and he simply ignores her and walks out as she questions him, then screams. And Chalice runs out to the parking lot after him, just in time to see him self-immolate in a car which explodes. Fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing expression of disbelief from Atkins.
Yeah. It's just like, what? He's just exasperated most of the movie. And this is when, and I feel like it starts here and it never stops. He's like, like he's in over his head.
He has the look of bewilderment.
Yeah, just, and just kind of like tired. He does that really well. This was a point where I wrote down here, John Carpenter, because he was involved in developing this movie, right? Mm-hmm. So I wrote, John Carpenter must have known a middle-aged, cynical, badass doctor. Because Dan Chalice, and of course, Dr. Loomis in the Halloween movies, and I feel like there's other characters in John Carpenter movies that are doctors that are, like, fucking cool.
Prince of Darkness.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them in that movie, right?
Yeah, they're all like doctoral students, I believe.
Yeah, okay. But, like, so many doctors are just, like, smoking and drinking and, like, fucking people, and then they're like, but they still are smart and, like, know how to save the day.
Yeah, for sure. I also loved the commentary line, when in doubt, just make it blow up real big.
Yeah.
And it worked.
That works for a lot of people. A young filmmaker who made his name with them, Michael Bay.
Yeah, that's right.
Blow shit up, buddy.
That's right.
Are you aware of Outlaw Vern at all, the writer?
No, I'm not familiar.
Oh, dude. So Outlaw Vern, shout out to Vern, is a guy who he has a movie blog and he writes lots and lots of stuff, lots of reviews about movies, new ones, but he's always diving back in. Like right now he did like a retrospective on his site of just of reviewing every Ronnie Yu movie. Like,
oh, hell yeah.
Stuff like that. So he talks about Michael Bay, and he doesn't like Michael Bay because he's very into clearly shot action, which Bay doesn't do, and I agree. Right. But also, I think he first said this, and I agree too, that Michael Bay is almost kind of an auteur.
No doubt.
Where, like, he has a very specific
for sure
thing that he likes to do. None of the things that he likes to do are very good to me, but he does them,
Yeah.
And it's like, here's like, we got a golden lit American flag. We got a slow crawl up a sexy ass and torso and short jeans. Mm-hmm. We got, just intercut imagery of planes and troops. He loves that shit.
Even that distorted action is, that's the hallmark.
Yeah, that's just what he likes to do. That's how he sees the world,
Yeah,
So,
well, it's very blurry for him.
So cheers to underloved artist Michael. Anyway.
Finally, he's getting the boost he needs from Best Little Horror House.
Yes, and from a guy who was on deep cable television.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
Here's
Mike.
to you, sir. Putting in the work.
So Chalice explains to his ex-wife that he can't pick up the kids tonight after all.
These conversations, oh God, yeah.
Incredible. But 10 a.m. Saturday, he says. Uh-huh. And I love that you can just hear her enough to get how pissed she is.
That's what's great. The way they Mike Nancy or recorded Nancy Lewis, whatever she was doing for that, was just like, because you just hear her like back here, like, like, and you just get like, you don't need to hear anymore. You know that he's just getting his ass eaten, and it's like she's right.
Yeah, for sure.
He's clearly a drunk, and
This is clearly not the first time that he's bailed on picking up the kids either.
Right. Well, and here's why it's interesting too, is because yes, he's bailed on the kids for drinking several times. That's made clear. Now he's bailing on the kids to save the world, but nobody fucking believes him, because he's a sot.
That's
You
true.
know?
Hey, the boy who cried, robots trying to take over the world.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, man? Maybe in the past he's got loaded. He was like, I can't see the kids this week. I gotta fight a robot. She's like, fuck you, Dad. You're using the robot excuse again?
Every week he prank calls the stations and says, you can't play that commercial anymore. It's gonna explode the heads.
Oh, you do this again, you fucking son of a bitch. Get a new gag. Come on. Yeah, it'd be funny if this whole movie, he's like, I can't believe how closely this real situation resembles my drinking excuses.
My go-to.
You gotta believe me, honey. There's bugs crawling out of this kid's mouth. They just bit his dad. Oh, God, that one again, Dan.
Oh, I'm sure that the toy maker stole Stonehenge, too.
Yeah, I bet, right? Sexy, almost pretty much inappropriately younger girlfriend is actually a yellow orange juice robot. Sure.
Call me when you dry up. Damn.
Fucking putz.
I also just love the way it looks. He talked a lot on the commentary about learning to spread the frame from John, who learned it from Sergio Leone. And it does have a ton going on to keep it visually interesting while he's just there on the phone. So great work there.
There's a lot of phone calls in this movie, and it's never boring.
Yeah. The man's daughter, Ellie, arrives at the hospital and doesn't find a lot of answers, but is asked to stick around by the police, and we move to Friday the 29th. Chalice is at a bar when another Silver Shamrock ad comes on, this time advertising a big giveaway that will happen after the immortal classic Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. A reference, perhaps a little tongue-in-cheek from Tommy, knowing that they wanted him to just recreate Halloween again, calling it the immortal classic.
Right.
Just kind of fun.
Yeah, a cynical move possibly for someone who's being forced to... Because he turned out he could have made the next immortal classic Halloween. He didn't want to do it because he didn't want to do another sequel.
That's right. And I also kind of like that the continuity of this movie is like folding in on itself in that they're like, Halloween exists, but it's a movie.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Silent Night, Deadly Night series did that.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe, I haven't seen the sequels, but I think the Human Centipede series does that.
That's right. I have seen the sequels. And
I've always wanted to. That kind of horror doesn't always appeal to me so much because I like it when there's more of a story or reasoning behind something horrible happening. But I think it's cool that it's like the second one is a guy loved the first movie, so he did it. And the third one is the same thing? Or the director's actually involved, right?
Basically. So what happens is the first one happens. Then the second one, a guy is like, oh, this is a movie. And I love this movie. And then in the third one, that is also a movie. And somebody says, this movie is crap, but the idea is good. And this is how we're going to solve overpopulation in jail.
Wow. Okay, I should maybe watch him just because, I mean, and that guy, there's another, you want to talk about an auteur, was it Tom Six?
Yeah.
So, what else? Has he even done much else? He
has a movie that he can't get released. The Onania Club, apparently. He says it's too controversial.
What's it called?
The Onania Club. And I mean, if he felt that he could get the Human Centipede movies published and not that, I can only imagine how controversial it is. But
Onania is masturbation as a heinous sin?
Oh.
Onania is a pamphlet opposing masturbation thought to be published around 1712 or 1716. Okay, sweet. Someone give that guy money, because what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I have no idea. It sounds, I mean... I genuinely would just like to see what else this guy can do because I think for me, Human Centipede 2 is the best one because Human Centipede 1 is honestly kind of restrained for the concept.
Right. They just kind of introduce the concept and they peace out.
Right. And the second one is very clearly everyone treated the first one like it was this insane exploitation movie. So I might as well make that movie if everyone's...
Right.
And so 2 is as rough as people treated 1.
Ah, okay.
And then 3 is a straight-up comedy.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, because that's the thing is like the actual thing of putting the people together and all that stuff is like, okay, it's kind of gross just to be gross. I don't know.
Yeah.
But everything else around it is interesting to me. So, and as I said about Michael Bay, Tom Six is another guy. It's like he just really wants to make these movies about sewing people's faces to other people's buttholes, and God bless him. You know,
Outsider art, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So. What were we talking about?
Let's see.
Welcome to my brain. What now?
Tom, he's in this bar. He's approached by Ellie, who says, the nurses said I could find you here. Which is grim.
Yeah. Okay, so in the documentary for a second, Tom Atkins is like, what kind of doctor am I? I show up with the kids, I give them these bad masks, and I'm drinking, I leave. Then I buy a 6-pack and take off with some chick and drive up north?
Wow.
That's how he describes it. It's like, yeah.
That is exactly what he does.
Yeah.
Tommy talked in the documentary about having a dentist who was supposed to perform wisdom teeth extraction, and then he smelled whiskey on his breath. So that's where this comes from.
That's so funny.
She asks if her dad said anything, and I do like that he initially tries to be like, oh, he said that he loves you, he's trying to be comforting, and she's like, come on. And he immediately pivots the complete opposite way, goes all in. He said they're all gonna kill us, and then he was dead, babe.
Yeah, I like how he does it. Well, it's like, in a way, it's like he's being respectful to the woman by just being like, okay, I tried to lie once. I'm not going to fucking blow any more smoke up your ass.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. You know? Because she figured it out very quickly. She had a very clinical, almost calculator-like brain, you could say.
Yeah, you might say that. They head to Dad's little corner store. He sells all kinds of stuff, including a lot of toys, and especially including the silver shamrock masks. But she says business was bad thanks to a new mall in town.
Oh, another reference to corporate bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They go through his calendar, and Ellie theorizes the day marked picking up more masks is when he disappeared, not only suspicious concerning the death grip that he had on the old pumpkin mask, but also another sign of how widespread the masks are, that even this failing business was having to restock them.
Yeah, interesting.
She wants Chalice's help to figure out what happened, though she doesn't say it, just giving him a look before this incredible comedy cut to him on the phone with his ex-wife again, lying about a doctor's conference so that he can bail on his kids to hang out with this young babe. Ugh.
It's so great. And you know what? It's like, listen, I'm a single dad. Now, I've never been in the position his character is in this movie where I have to fight for time. I've got custody, whatever. I see my kid all the time. But there are still times when you have to go do something, and so you can't be around your kid and explain it to the other person. You always feel like an asshole, like you're committing a crime, especially in his case, and sometimes in mine, where the person is taking the opportunity to make you feel like a shithead for not being there. And so I've been in that situation where you're trying to explain what you're doing or even coming up with, like, I've never lied, but just explaining what you're doing. Someone's like, oh, really? It's like, I got to go on a tour and do stand-up with a bunch of cool people for 3 days or whatever, you know? So, you know, it's like... So I definitely get that situation of having to explain on the phone, like, you know, it's just so funny to me, especially the later conversation. But this one, before they take off, is just so funny because he's got the sixer of beer on the payphone.
He's ready to party.
And he's just like, yeah, I go. And like in the back, the shot is so perfect because it starts with he walks up with a beer and he's on the phone. And he's talking to her. And then in the background, you have the hot babe he's about to run off with, get into the car. While he's saying like, oh yeah, it's gonna be boring. All these doctors talk about who knows what. I just got to go do it. And it's so funny because he just made this plan with her the night before that I'll get the kids, and now suddenly there's this conference. It's like, dude, no one's gonna buy your horse shit.
I didn't even think about that. You're so right.
He's like lying to her.
Yeah.
He's not even trying, and it's so funny because to me, like thinking about it in retrospect, it kind of feeds more into him being an alcoholic, where it's like he's just, and even alcoholism or even a lot of other problems where he's just going into the patterns even when he knows it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like I have a problem like eating, like binge eating at night, and I'll still fucking do it. Like I'll go and buy snacks and I still know what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So it's like almost like he's like, I'm going to lie to her. I know it's not even going to work, but this is what I do, you know?
For
and
sure.
you kind of almost wonder how many other times this guy gotten blitzed and ran off with some hot lady he met. Because he's Tom Atkins, and as we were discussing earlier, women are just completely victim to his powers. They
Exactly.
can't.
We see that he clearly had
resist him.
a thing with the lab tech as well.
Yes, yep. And he and the nurse, I don't know. The nurse is older, but she was into it.
This was purposely filmed at the same location that they shot the loading and unloading of the pods in the original Body Snatchers movie.
Oh, interesting. Because, like, when stuff starts taking off.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And they drive off, the camera pans to the TVs in the window, repeating the refrain once again, only now it's starting to feel kind of ominous. It's this ticking clock. 3 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
The factory seems to be in the middle of nowhere. It's an Irish company town named Santa Mira, full of unfriendly eyes watching them roll in, which Tommy said is actually what it feels like driving into Lolita, which is where it's shot.
Mm-hmm.
But the prying eyes aren't limited to people's faces because it also has all kinds of video surveillance.
Yeah.
They bunk down at this combo motel/gas station. They're posing as a husband and wife. And while the manager shows Ellie the room, Dan sneaks off to check the register, where he does find her dad's name. And Dan O'Herlihy as Mr. Cochran rolls past, scoping things out himself. A great man, Connell Cochran. A true genius.
Yeah, does that guy does own the hotel, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, because at first it seems like, is he just around?
He's just there to let people know about Cochran.
He just goes up to some girl like, hey, this guy's so great.
He's the hype man. He rolls up ahead of time everywhere.
He's the Flavor Flav, but he's the Irish small town version of Flavor Flav. So he's got a sweater and he's balding and he has glasses and he looks very friendly.
That's right. The atmosphere is shattered by an RV crewed by Buddy and his family and a pissed off woman whose order was screwed up at the factory, delaying her trip home. Very funny to me that both cars almost hit Chalice.
Yeah.
Little Buddy is now a rabbi. Good for him.
What?
The kid who plays Little Buddy is now a rabbi.
Oh, really?
So,
shalom, right?
That's
Is
right.
all right.
That's hello and goodbye. Classic
There you go.
Hawaii style.
Very good. That's hilarious. Yeah, both cars almost hit him, and he's not pissed about it. He's just, it's like he's used to
drunk as fuck. He doesn't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's living in this world where everyone's kind of a fucking slob like he is. And then they come up and they meet him, and when he goes back in his room, what he tells Ellie is just great. This place is a circus. It's just so funny, man.
It really is.
Atkins, like, man, I mean that, and I know they wanted him for that, and so it was like kind of from the word go, it was gonna be him, but like he just you can't imagine it with another actor, anyways. It's like he just brings this kind of sense of that to it, and the other horror films when he shows up, it's like
yeah, every time he shows up, he has just that charm, and his deliveries are always like so Tom Atkins. They are so unique and could really only be done by him. He just has it. He has it.
Yeah, he does, and it always fits what's the world of the movie that he's into. It never feels weird. It's just like, this is what this guy would be doing in this universe.
That's right.
So it makes sense.
6 o'clock curfew. Apparently, that's Jamie Lee Curtis's voice on the PA system.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. All residents clear the street, including a cute little cat. I like that they have this little shot of them getting scooped up.
Yeah, like some of the don't leave the kitty outside. But the thing is like minutes later, you understand like, oh yeah, someone would kill that cat.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That cat would be endangered.
Dan goes to get a bottle of booze. He trades some to a transient gentleman for some information on Cochran. He brought in everyone who works at the factory from outside, drying up any life in the town besides that which he controls. And this guy is planning to burn down the factory. Yeah. Last Halloween!
You know what I wrote down? I wrote down anarchist hobo would have also been a good main character.
Yeah, I would watch his planning.
What if the movie decided to do a left turn right there, where they meet, and then Atkins' character gets killed, and the hobo guy's like, I have to avenge him. He was a nice guy. He gave me some whiskey.
There you go. I would definitely watch that. Or hey, maybe he teams up with him. He says, "You're right, transient gentleman. We should take down this factory together.
That would be great. Oh, dude. Tom Atkins and some, like, drunk guy from the alley just, like...
Constantly passing back the bottle.
Yeah, and you got to shoot it very procedurally. So first you see them drinking a whole bunch of beer, so they have empty bottles, and then they're just, like, stealing gas from somewhere, putting it in there, the styrofoam in the bottom and everything. Yeah, that is how you do it. Anyways, so, and you put... kind of makes homeschool napalm, whatever. So you put a rag in, you light it up, and so anyways, just the whole process, and they're just like go in there completely fucking hammered. That'd be a great movie. It
would have been a smash hit.
Totally. That's the problem. Instead of this attractive young actress, you should have had another old man with Tom Atkins, just like fucking getting loaded.
Yeah, everyone would have loved it. I also do think it is interesting that it creates this tension where if we've established that Margie is Deborah Hill complaining about the quality and the little guy having to wait in line, this guy basically is a stand-in for Carpenter, who is bitter about their treatment, and he wants to Molotov the franchise into oblivion, basically.
Sure, yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And Atkins, who would be, in this situation, Tommy Lee Wallace, is like, yeah, I see your point. I still got to go do this, though. I got to keep making this movie.
Yeah. And to that point, Tommy talks about growing up in a university town that he said felt very similar to this. And it does feel ominous to have that much power invested into a business, insidiously gobbling up houses and turning them into parking lots and stuff.
Yeah, there's a school right by near me that does that. That's fine because the school is good, but there's a hospital on the other end of town here that does that. Mm-hmm. It's just slowly eating the other blocks around it, and it's good to have a hospital, but also it's like, in this country, the healthcare system, it's hard to view anything they do as magnanimous.
Right. Who's going to have access to it?
Yeah, so it's like, Yeah. But definitely, I definitely get that. Having been in the small town situation myself, so
yeah. He correctly assumes that Cochran is listening, and as he stumbles off, is accosted by two more suited goons that casually rip his head off his neck. That is Dick Warlock there, who rips him off.
Oh, okay.
It's a particularly wonderful effect when the blood geezers out as the body collapses.
Because the thing that's cool about it, and listen, I love a lot of martial arts films, and I love Kill Bill, so I like in those movies when the blood immediately comes out. But what I like in Halloween 3, they rip his head off, and it takes a few seconds, and then it starts spurting out. I love that.
Very cool. Ellie also meets Margie Gutman, the woman whose order got delayed. She's, like I said, played by Tom's wife at the time, Garn. And I cracked up when she's like, oh, this logo came right off the mask after my kids smashed it against the wall.
Yeah, it's like, well...
That's what happens, Garn.
Yeah. It's like, what did you expect?
Oh, he only stomped on it a few times.
Yeah, it's so funny.
They don't make it like they used to, I guess.
You know what, though? That is maybe that you could even see that as another point in this commentary about corporate stuff, because consumers are also the problem, and consumers often feel like they should just be able to do whatever they want and be like, I can't believe this product didn't work after I did what I'm not supposed to do with it. And that's why every product you buy has 14 million fucking instructions on it, because they have to waiver their responsibility. Because you buy like frozen cookie dough and it says, do not cook before consuming. It's like, what dumb piece of shit ate this frozen hockey puck R2D2 dough cookie?
Cracked a tooth and then got pissed about it.
Yeah,
said, well, you didn't tell me I couldn't.
God. Fucking pieces of whatever. Anyways, and I'm sure it wasn't that, but it can kind of tie into that.
For sure. Dan checks in with the lab tech that he has to take a look at the corpse. She lets him know that someone mixed up the evidence and they've got no clue who the killer was, just a bunch of plastic and metal shavings. That's strange. This subplot was actually extra shooting after the movie was done. They had shot the half of the conversations from Tom, but he said that it wasn't coming to life. They needed a little extra juice, so they shot the other side, got one more body for the count. I think it totally fits in. You never know.
It totally does. And I think all they had, that actress does a great job with what she has, and I think all they told her was, you're talking to a character played by Tom Atkins. She's like, oh, all right, I'll flirt with him. Because it's just the Atkins magic.
That's right. He heads back to his room where, speaking of the Atkins magic, he and Ellie sleep together.
Right.
Then he checks to make sure she's of age.
Yeah! Hey, since I just, I didn't pull out, right? So what's your age?
Hope you're ready to make some stepkids.
Yeah. This kid will have some stepbrothers and sisters for at least 2 more days.
He's not getting the silver shamrock mask, though, I tell you that.
We're leaving this hotel room until I find out what's happening.
There's a great time skip also establishing shot of the motel with the factory looming in the background behind it. I just thought it looked really great. Margie finds a microchip in the logo. She tries to pop it out with a hairpin and gets zapped in the face by a light that just absolutely massacres her.
Yeah, it's and so now we can talk about one of the things that I love about this movie and that I've been finding over the last year is a theme in movies, especially around this era for some reason. But so she gets a laser in her mouth and you just see her, like, it starts to glow in her mouth a little bit and then it cuts away. And then when you see later the aftermath, her, like we were saying earlier, her lips have been blown apart from the inside.
Ugh.
It looks so great.
Ugh.
And there's been bugs. Bugs came out of her.
Mm-hmm.
And the connection in horror movies between witchcraft and bugs appearing is something I've just recently really been discovering, and I love it.
That's good stuff.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 4.
Oh yeah, baby, that Yuzna classic. Hey, if you know Yuzna's in the mix, there's gonna be bugs.
Yeah, that guy loves bugs. And then there's a couple other movies recently where it's like, man, these guys fucking love bugs. Well, Twin Peaks has some bug stuff. I haven't watched a lot of Twin Peaks.
That Gretel and Hansel movie that Oz Perkins did,
did it?
had some bugs in it, I think.
God,
That was a pretty
recently
fun movie.
I watched. I've always wanted to see Gretel and Hansel. Is it good?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's kind of this is gonna probably sound meaner than I intended to, but it's kind of like baby's first art house horror kind of thing, where it's like not too intense,
Sure,
but gets that kind of A24 vibe that people are looking for. So yeah, I liked it. I had a good time with it.
I think it's on Shudder or something. I've been meaning to watch it. So
Worth a watch, I would say, for sure. Especially if you have access to it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who says no? First of all, the way the suddenness with which this death happens is pretty startling. But she also then pulls her hands away to reveal the grotesque effect. And it is grotesque. And then the bugs crawl out of her mouth. That's the trifecta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you don't see it. Then yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wait, she's still a little bit alive when we see her mouth all blown out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Oof.
Gross.
Yeah. It's always, and that's clever horror filmmaking where it's like, she's not, like, somebody dying is like, okay, they're dead now. They can't, nothing else can happen to them. But when something like that's happened to them and they're still alive, it's like, that's way worse.
You're immediately like, oh my God, the suffering must be outrageous.
Your nerves must be completely exploded from pain. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Love it.
The corpse does get removed in the night, though Ellie and Dan are woken up by the noise and try to get out there before the evidence is gone, but the quote-unquote doctors whisk her away, and Mr. Cochran is in charge of the patient, of course. There's a marvelous facility at the factory for emergency treatment. More like for building damn robots.
Yeah. Oh, Prince of Darkness. That's another Bugs magic.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Anyways. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, they have the ambulance. It's pretty much looks just like a 16 pass with the seats taken out for Silver Shamrock, and they put her in it. And what I love is, like, Atkins, like, they're kind of like, so he and Ellie are in bed. They're not really asleep. They're listening to the radio and just kind of, she's like kind of muttering to him or kind of lightly kissing, whatever. Just can't control herself around Tom Atkins. And so they're just like, and then he's like, what the hell is that? And he gets up and you see his ass. And I didn't pause it, but I'm like, I bet you see a little bit of his dick. It's like, he gets up and naked. I mean, you know what?
Sure.
He was 47 when he made this movie.
Wow.
I'm 42. I'm not showing my ass in a movie. I mean, we've done, Whitest Kids. I don't think I ever showed my ass. Everybody has done, scantily clad scenes, or some of us had to do nudity. But, like, when you get older, you're like, I'm not going to do that anymore. But
I'm too old for this.
47. I think he probably has a very good opinion of his sexuality, of his appeal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Here's what I'll say. More like Askins.
But, yeah, so you see his little butt. And, because he's kind of in shape,
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways.
The next day, he calls back to the lab tech. She says there's nothing there to indicate there was a body at all, just car parts and ash, so she thinks that someone is tampering with it. He asks her to look into Cochran as well, and the camera pans down to reveal that the phone is bugged. which is not only a fun reveal that they're onto him, but I also really enjoy the way that it feels like a neat modernization. You know, we talked about how witchcraft and the computer age. Here, there are bugs and there are bugs.
Oh, yeah, great point. They have both kind of bugs.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Very good.
They inquire about Ellie's father. They say he did pick up the order on the 21st, and on their way out, Buddy and his family are greeted by Connell, who loudly exclaims that they sold more silver shamrock masks by far than anyone in the country, an ironic and Pyrrhic victory, to be sure.
Right. And I mean, this guy has I haven't even seen all the movies, but the National Lampoon's Vacation movies, who's the uncle everybody likes?
Randy? Is it Randy?
Well, that's the actor, isn't it?
Oh,
Randy
yeah,
Quaid?
it's Randy Quaid. You're right. What,
No, it's not Randy Quaid. Yeah, it is Randy Quaid. Okay.
It is Randy Quaid.
It's Randy Quaid.
Ooh, what the hell is that cousin's name?
Yeah.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah, I got it. Lampoon, Randy Quaid. Cousin Eddie.
Eddie, of
Cousin
course.
Eddie. So, and anyways, okay, so the toy shop owner, the people in the RV, Cousin Eddie vibes, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, a well-meaning goofball, but probably wouldn't want to hang around him too much.
No, I think his son
flips him off at one point. Really, his son flips him off at one point,
right,
which really makes me
I
laugh.
think that was a good family dynamic. Although okay, so when he introduces his wife to Tom Atkins, it's like, and this is before where we're at down in the plot, but like earlier when they showed up, he introduced his wife. He's like, "This is my wife." He's like kind of showed her off, you know. So he's like, "Hey," whatever her name is, Bonnie or whatever. This is my wife, Bonnie. You know.
Yeah.
He's like, "Check out this babe," you know.
Tom, you
very
like?
Which it's like, you know, and that's sweet, but also it's almost like he's just kind of using her as like a car or a cool motorcycle, you know?
Sure, yeah.
But it's funny. I don't know.
Yeah. Connell then turns his attention to Mr. Smith, in quotes, which is Tom Atkins, of course, a great cover.
And he says, "What? Your last, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith." And Connell goes, "Oh, Smith, of course." Like, like he already knows it's bullshit, and he's just like,
just like his wife.
Great last name.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? The continuing problem of him not being able to lie very well.
That's
right. Interesting.
Connell offers to for them to come on this tour that they're about to go on, which Ellie accepts because she's still trying to figure out what happened to her dad. And it does seem normal. Connell gives Buddy Jr. a mask at his request, although not the exact one that he grabs because it hasn't been through, quote, final processing yet. Here, put on this one with the logo in place. And though things seem very casual, Dan notices all the men watching them and says, "Wow, these look exactly like the father killer. Time to leave."
Yeah.
And as they do, Ellie notices her father's car. So big swerve happening here. Mm-hmm. I also love Cochran's glower after he waves it off to Buddy as trade secrets. Like, he does a great job of this, like, there's that phrase, like, Irish smile, I think, right? Where
yes.
It's like a faux friendliness. And I think that he really knocks that out of the park in this.
Yeah, he's so good at this role. And then when you find out more about it, it only makes him more perfect. But, you know, as the story moves on. But yeah, he's, you know, and Hurley, he has played that character a lot. But sometimes that character's bad, sometimes that character's good. But he's really good at that kind of nice but calculating, powerful person, you know?
Yeah,
he's
definitely. They're freaked out, so Dan is going to call the cops while she packs for them to leave. The phone isn't working, though, and the commercial warns him, one more day till Halloween. Ooh. He returns to the room, and Ellie is missing now, but a scary team of the goons are standing outside, and they pursue... Shot. Yes, oh, it's great. And they pursue Chalice as he flees. He also sees them bring Ellie into the factory, but when he tries to call for help again, even the payphones aren't working. My man is getting his quarters swallowed.
He is. This guy... he doesn't win at all. He got to sleep with the pretty girl, but besides that, doesn't win at all.
No, definitely not. He breaks into the factory. He discovers a horrific knitting automaton. This is the most grotesque monster of all.
It's so crazy. And then Colin's explanation of it a little bit after is so fucking insane.
It's a crazy German thing. But it's so funny that he like mistakes her for a real person and then shakes her head off while demanding to know where the girl is.
So he's shaking her when he thinks she's real. Like, listen, you old broad. It's like she's probably like, if she's real, she's like 80 years old.
Yeah, and she's got needles there. Wow, you gotta watch out.
Yeah, like, tell me, listen, you old Biddy, tell me what's going on. It's like, what was your plan here?
He was playing a 1950s cop in that moment.
Yeah, he's just like, suddenly he's in a Mickey Spillane novel. Like, listen, you squint. Don't make me put my hands on you, you know?
This reveals a guard who attacks him because obviously he's making a ton of noise now.
Yeah.
And the punches to the face of this guard do nothing. It's not until Dan literally punches into his guts that anything happens, including gurgling up some yellow blood, which Dan's hand is covered in as well, having ripped out some wires.
What I like about these automatons, whatever, is that their stomachs are soft. Their heads are very hard.
Foolish.
Their stomachs are just a fucking like mesh nylon something.
Very foolish, Cochran. You gotta get the metal everywhere.
Yeah, give him some fucking 9-packs of silver abs.
Yeah. And here's something else. This was Dick Warlock, so technically our hero did fight Michael Myers after all.
Hey, all right.
There you go.
Fuck you, Hollywood.
More guards take him into custody, and Connell is pissed about the horrific automaton head having come off. He said, I had it shipped here from Germany at great expense.
Yes, and he says it's from like the 1700s or something.
That's right.
What?
He's an old man.
Right. But also what's weird is like, so someone 300 years ago made a knitting robot, you know?
Yeah, who knows?
But,
who knows? It's like the Le Marchand configuration.
Yeah, you know, who knows? And plus, given what we find out about his history, well, there probably wasn't just a regular person making that automaton.
Very true, very true. It's now Halloween morning. The robo-guards take Connell and Dan to a secret lab where some scientists are mixing ancient and modern technology again, using tiny particles of Stonehenge, which they've stolen, to create a bioweapon attached to every mask.
It's so cool. It's so weird. And I wrote a note here. I said, after we've already seen bug lasers and robot men, the filmmakers clearly felt they did not have to say how the henge was stolen from Stonehenge, because at this point, belief has been fully suspended. We're on board. Yeah. You know.
He goes, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, so why? Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
And Tommy Atkins probably be like, I'd believe you just out of sympathy because no one ever believes me about anything. But I also wrote here, so the filmmakers are like, yeah, we don't need to explain that to them. And then just trust us on the cities. Because when they show all the different cities about 5 minutes from now, it's like, this is all clearly the same California neighborhood where you shot Halloween.
What?
Like, oh, really? New York and Baton Rouge and Dayton, Ohio all look exactly the same?
And it all starts at 9 p.m. PST?
You're right. Oh, my God. That's so funny.
It is, though, the perfect time for a demonstration. Buddy and his family are taken to a facsimile living room where the Silver Shamrock ad plays, beaming a signal that interacts with the mask that Buddy Jr. is wearing, turning his head into a pile of bugs and snakes that bite and kill the parents. And, I mean, it's first of all just an incredible scene, but also if you take the commentary back into consideration, you can see that Buddy's loyalty to the corporate machine wasn't rewarded with any returned loyalty. He was just more gristle for the...
Yes. I also...
Grist for the mill. I think that's the...
Yes, grist for the mill. Yeah. There's no path. And you know, that's a great metaphor of it, but it also is literally stated right before that, because when he asked, earlier on the tour, when he asked, like, can I see the, was it special or final processing? Can I see it? No, you can't. And it's like, what about the number one salesman, huh? Can I see it? Because I'm the number one salesman. You said that. Like, and they're like, no. So, you know, like, they bestowed the special thing on him, but like they tell him minutes later, doesn't mean shit. Fuck you. We're more important than you. You know, it's kind of great because that's what it's like. You know, it's like they don't really care about you. You know,
that's right. They love you till they don't need you anymore.
And what I thought was interesting about this part that we've seen the bugs thing happen a few times at this point, but what I thought was interesting here was that the bugs and snakes are like evil.
Yeah.
You know,
truly, the
snakes come after the guy and kill the dad. You know, and it's a rattlesnake.
It's great stuff. It's great stuff.
It's so weird.
Also, the flashing pumpkin that caused this effect does make you think back to the opening of this one, where you're like, oh, were they building that trigger? Is that, like, in a way, killing the audience of the original, there to see more of the same? It all... This is a movie that I love, like, just looking back at and being like, even if this isn't actually connected, I love the way that it feels like maybe it could be.
Right. You know, and also, and with any movie, but with this movie particularly, whether there seems to be a lot of layers, a lot of different things you can glean from it. Some of them are intentional, some of them weren't.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that always makes something the best, is because the situation, however they were making the movie, just ended up creating other things that were unintentional, but that maybe all tie into these different themes we're talking about, you know?
Absolutely.
But
the tune gets faster and faster as well, as Dan realizes what this means for the outside. It says, don't forget to gather around the TV with your mask for the great big giveaway at 9 o'clock, kids. Although we did sort of make fun of it a little bit, the shots of these kids all wearing their masks around the country is incredible.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, you go from Dan's 2 kids sitting in front of the TV contentedly, so you reestablish the stakes for him. Mm-hmm. And then you get the kids following like a skull-faced leader up a hill in LA, which reminds me a lot of the Seventh Seal and following death up the hill there. Mm-hmm. And then back down in the hill in Phoenix as the sun sets, and you get this gorgeous, ominous sunset as it gets closer and closer. Just a really fantastic montage.
Yeah, it's and it's scary because, like you said, it starts with Dan's kids, but then it's like, oh, it's everybody's kids everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, holy shit, like, that's scary, you know? And killing kids, you know, in a horror movie, it's, you gotta do it right. I know it sounds fucked up, but like kids and pets, but kids especially, like, even some of those hardcore horror movies aren't gonna kill a kid. Right. You know? I mean, I always talk about Fulci when it comes to hardcore just because he loves gore so much, but the kids, well, he's got a couple dead kids in his past as well, I guess.
I think Bob might have gotten bit in Cemetery, right?
Yeah,
House by the Cemetery.
Well, and I think,
but he was so annoying that you're like, I'm glad that this kid is dead.
Right, yeah. And who's the girl? Isn't there one of them? There's a girl whose parents get killed and they're at the cemetery, or is that the boy?
That might be the Beyond.
That's in the like Beyond. And then what's funny about that scene is the people just leave and the girl's just there. Like, isn't someone taking care of her? Anyways, but so you know, killing kids is, I mean, that's still somewhat taboo, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of fucked up to kill a kid, you know?
Yeah.
And the way this kid dies in this movie, that kid, when Buddy, whew, man.
It's grim. It's grim.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've seen it happen to adults. We've seen it happen to this kid. Every time it's effective.
Yeah.
Back at the hospital, the lab tech tries to get in touch with Dan at the motel and can't, so she calls someone else to come look at a part she found in the fire, saying it's not from a car at all, so where did it come from? And as she does, the door opens up to reveal a goon in the shadows, coming to drill her in the head. One more loose end tied up, and it's a really great shot as it just lingers on her lying on the floor there. Very simple action, but very well done.
Yes. I had a note about this particular kill because now I just wrote the drill. This robot man gets a drill. So are the robots finally realizing that squishing heads isn't very discreet? And maybe you should at least kill her in a way that a regular human could have killed her this way too. You know what I mean? It's like, let's drill her face so that maybe we could at least have other people in the suspect lineup with us.
That first robot got a real talking to when he got back to the factory.
You just pulled his face apart? And the second guys are like, okay, pulling his head off, sure, but still, a little much. Couldn't you just choke him? Just choke a guy. God.
It would be so easy for you, robot.
Just squeeze and dead. Boom. It doesn't look that weird. Instead, you're breaking skulls. What the fuck's the matter with you guys?
The APB explicitly says we're on the look for a robot who's crushing people's heads.
Yeah.
That's you, robot. You did this to us.
And you know what? He is disappointed in one of them, right?
Yeah.
After Atkins beats that one, he's like, what does he say about him? He's like, sloppy, right?
Yes.
Or careless, something like that. It's like,
yeah, something to that effect.
Asshole, like, these are basically your children, Colin. Come on.
That's right. It's 7:30 now. 90 minutes remain. One last great establishing shot of the factory, and Dan is tied up inside. enjoy the horror-thon, Connell tells him, which is concluding with the original Halloween. And Cochran gleefully warns Dan not to forget to watch the big giveaway before putting a mask on him to kill him with panache. You can't just shoot a guy like this, bro. That's how you stay a jobber instead of becoming a supervillain.
Right. You have to... And this is when he explains the plot, too, right?
That's right. He says
his plan.
He says, "Well, Dan, it would be enough just to be pulling a funny joke on the kids." Which
so fucked up.
Yeah.
Wait, but that's after he explains the old traditions of killing the kids, though, right?
No, so I think he says it would be enough to be a funny joke, but you're right about that. But there's more. It's a ritual sacrifice for Samhain, baby.
Right.
The planets are aligned and demanding that the hills run red with animal and child blood once again.
Yeah. So fucking badass. And, on the last Whitest Kids stream we did, Self-Select Saturday, we were just talking about Samhain and how to pronounce it.
There you go.
Because it looks like
coming in handy. It sure does. That's a classic. If you've never heard it said out loud, you're like, I bet I know how to say this.
Do you think Danzig knows how to say it? I bet he doesn't.
Boy, that really could go either way, huh?
Because, he likes this kind of shit, but he's also, kind of a fucking meathead.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't, and everyone's afraid to tell him otherwise.
Yeah, I'm never going to tell him. The guy's like fucking Wolverine,
Yeah, Glenn.
Sure, buddy.
Sam Hine.
Sam Hine. Have fun
Can't
with
wait.
that, but whatever. and then when he leaves, and Happy Halloween.
Ooh, you know that's in the trailers, baby.
Fucking good. Is it in the trailers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That better be.
Yeah.
So good. That's like that Hill and Tommy Wallace and all those people, and they're shooting it, and he says that they get that shot, and they're like, "That's where our fucking money went, baby. That's the cheddar cheese. That's why we paid for O'Hurley." Fuck.
Definitely. He kills it, pun intended. And Dan kicks out the TV. Again, perhaps more commentary on their opinion of how Universal was using the original to be destroying it there on the TV.
Also, do you think it's that easy to kick a TV with your boot from a chair you're tied in? Because I was thinking about that. The TV's on a little cart.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you have to get some leverage against the back of it to really get to break. So it's like, how the fuck do you do that? But again, Atkins.
It's the Atkins magic, and so quickly they move on to a new superpowered thing that he does, in that he cuts his hands free and takes off the mask, and then does a sick toss onto the camera.
So funny.
That you're like, I don't even care about breaking the TV impossibly anymore. Yeah. Let's talk about this mask throw that happens.
He hardly looks. He's just like, just perfectly lands. So that the shot they look at is great. It lines up the eyes on the camera lens, so the bad guys see the monitor feed. It looks like they're looking through a mask.
That's right. Again, another callback to the original, in that he, in the way that Michael, those opening shots.
Those great shots. Yeah, good point. Hadn't thought of that.
He escapes through the vent, and it's very funny that this Robo-goon is waiting patiently to tell Cochran the whole time, but his loyalty program won't let him interrupt Connell's phone call.
That's so funny.
The villain hubris, between the flare kill and this, it's really facilitating Atkins' escape.
Right. You know what? I just put this together. So then about 6 years after this movie, Dan O'Hurley will play a character who helps a robot overcome its loyalty programming to save the day. Because that's how RoboCop ends. It
certainly is.
You're fired.
You should have been trying to fire people this whole time. Would have made a lot more sense.
Fire the robot so get out. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, the guy's fucking get out. He's get out. And so he's like, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir."
That's and we get this beautiful moment where he once again calls his ex-wife to try and convince her to throw away the masks.
I wrote notes on this one. Uh-huh.
She says, "You deadbeat, you're drunk again after bailing on the kids again. Go to hell."
And he just, Linda, shut up. Linda, shut up. Shut up, Linda. Linda, shut up. And he just... It's just so because you see this is why their marriage didn't work. They can't communicate very well, and he keeps failing the kids, and he can't talk to her about it, and she can't control her anger to have a discussion with him. And it's all understandable on everybody's part. He's an alcoholic. She's very flustered. We get it. But now there's this situation that he can't he's so bad at being at talking to her. and he's just so bad at interpersonal relationships in general that he's like, can't do it. And it's like the most important, this is the most important phone conversation that he has in his whole life. He's trying to save his children's lives.
Right.
And he can't fucking do, he's like, that, just shut up. And so we've all been there, especially me, like, coming from a background of someone who's divorced and stuff. Like, you have these conversations where it's something important, and the person you have to converse with is the one person who is the best at, like, fucking destroying you.
Yeah.
Because that's like
gonna interpret it the least favorably, or at least
and they're gonna just shred you and always have the wall up and never let you explain. And my ex-wife and I do have times when we get along, but a lot of times it's like, if there's any resistance, it's gonna be so difficult. And so it's so interesting, is like, it's kind of realistic where she's like not putting up with his bullshit anymore when he's trying to prevent her from having to watch their children die in an explosion of head snakes. And like literally,
you just said it like that.
It's like, Linda, shut up, Linda. Head snakes. Good God. But
it's a classic head snake situation.
But yeah,
we prepared for this.
Yeah, he's like, come on. And she's like, okay, I'll go get the head snake kit. But yeah, it's just the phone conversation is just beautiful.
It really is.
It's perfect. And then she hangs up on him, and then he tries to call somebody back, but then he sees he's getting followed, right?
That's right. And he goes for Ellie exactly as Cochran predicted. He sends more goons. It's 8:26. With a little discretion, Dan and Ellie slip back into the shadows, and Dan grabs the Silver Shamrock logo from a box for proof, and while they're distracted, he fucks with the control panel to start the trigger mechanism, dumps the rest of the Boxo logos over the lab techs, which interact with the trigger and start firing, destroying the Robo-Goons.
Now, the scientist people, are those robots?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think that he's got all robots there, and that's why the guy was like, oh, he brought everybody in from outside. Yeah, they come in from out of town.
So he built robots that could do science.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, what else would they be good at, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense to me.
Well, crushing fucking skulls.
That's true. That's true. You got your muscle ones and you got your brain ones.
And nary the two shall meet.
That's right. There also is a really great shot of them there, where it's like the crane looking at the bodies in between the circle of computers playing the tune. And again, I talked about how the bugs got updated into like spy bugs. First, now we have this like replicated Stonehenge.
Cyber look. Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Cyberhenge.
Whoa, man.
Whoa.
Cyberhenge.
When Chalice throws the coin, the little logo things, and causes all the chaos, is he starting the countdown throughout the world as well?
I think it's only playing in that.
He turns it on for them.
Yeah,
the way the way that the bad guy turned it on for the kid earlier. Okay.
Yeah, because I think that the Hurley he had his deliverable sent out already to the ad agencies and the studios.
You can't stop it. Yeah, we've already gone to press.
That's right. The piece of Stonehenge itself starts to glow. The light begins to spin around the computers, and Connell gives a little smile and round of applause. What a stinker this Dan is. Really great stuff. There's also a really great moment from the crane where he looks very small and defeated there.
Yes. A couple shots, but the one when he starts glowing too,
Ooh, really fun. Yeah, because he's in the middle. The beam emits from the stone and the computers. It meets in the middle, pierces Connell. He dies as he lived, trying to bring ancient and modern together, and also exploding as a diamond.
Is a diamond a stone, or what is it?
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah,
I thought he turned to stone, maybe.
Well, because diamond is a stone.
Oh, you're right. So maybe it was diamond. I don't know. Maybe he's part the White Queen, but little X-Men reference.
He's Emma Frost in the flesh,
or
in the diamond.
That's what I was trying to think of. I was gonna say Emma Stone, but that's an actress. It's because we were thinking that, and you said Stone. I'm like, is it Emma Stone? It's not Emma Stone.
Easy mix up.
Emma Stone, as far as we know, is not a mutant who can cover her skin in diamond protective barrier.
Look, I'm not willing to say she's not for sure, though.
Yeah, I mean, no one knows for sure.
Right. The factory starts to ignite as Dan and Ellie speed away in his car. There's a great matte painting that I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing on the radio yet. We ought to do something. Call somebody, he says to Ellie. But she attacks, revealing herself to be a robot. You have sort of hinted at this already. I'm curious, do you think she was always a robot sent to bring in this loose end? or did she get replaced? Because the guy at the beginning never says, like, get my daughter and tell her I love her.
Right.
So,
and I wrote that down. Like, was she ever real? And, you can absolutely read it both ways. And I don't think, and one thing, like I said earlier, I love when a movie doesn't spoon feed to you. And this is like, it's not telling you either way because it's letting the audience chew over it. It's smart filmmaking because it's like, we don't need this to be explained in order to tell our story.
Right.
All we need is there to be an Austin Powers-esque switch where now the hot babe is a robot.
Right. Exactly. And I was chewing on it for a while. I kind of went back and forth a little bit. And I was like, the thing that is tipping me in one direction is that even though they never say that they can't talk, none of the robots talk that we see. And in this moment, she does not talk to him anymore, but she was talking in the past.
But so when he gets her out of the room, does she talk anytime after that?
I don't think so.
Or no, she doesn't. Okay.
I don't think so. So I'm wondering if now this is the moment they didn't put a voice in her or whatever, and now she's a robot sent to finish it off. But it could go either way. She could have been there to lure these people in.
Right. Now, if she had been a robot the whole time, I wrote this note. If she's been a robot the whole time, how did Cochran design a robo-vagina good enough to fool Tom fucking Atkins, who, whether actor or his character, they both have had enough sex that they know what it should feel like.
Yeah.
So how did Cochran, presumably not having one him or themselves, how was he able to replicate it that well enough to fool a veteran coxman like Tom Atkins?
I'm thinking that he look, we didn't see under the dress of that German crazy automaton. That was the test run.
First he's like, I want to make a robot lady that can fuck an alcoholic doctor who knows his way around a woman and well enough to fool him. And I'm going to start by making a gross old woman vagina.
She's a freak for real, for real. She's knitting him a condom.
It is. It's really funny because it's so easy because he has such a singular personality. It's so easy to imagine Dan O'Hurley saying all that. It's like, I just wanted to have a sexy lady robot.
It gets lonely around here. I'm surrounded by all these muscle robots.
Oh, God. Yeah, he's like, we need some soft, gentle, sexy lady robots. Oh, man. But, yeah, and it's a great, because, like, I often pay too much attention to how, to the runtime of a movie. I have ADHD. It can take me a long time to watch even a 70-minute movie just to get, a pause to, suddenly I gotta do this. I'll pause it, So I'm always paying attention to that. So, once they kill Cochran's character, I'm like, there's still like 10 minutes left. What else happens?
Yeah. Well,
and then it's like
let's
this.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Dan drives off the road and crashes.
Right.
Apparently, the car came off the track and skidded towards them, and it's only because of the telephone pole that we see it bump the car that Dean Cundy and Tommy Lee Wallace are alive today.
Yes, and Dick Warlock was telling that story, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. Dan manages to defend himself with a crowbar, which also does kind of recreate the climaxes of the original, where Michael keeps surviving death blows.
Oh, yeah.
He's alive, but he has no car, no way to warn people, so he starts running down the road, and he finds himself at the same gas station Ellie's father did, begging to use the phone. It's a matter of life and death. And the attendant very kindly points him to the phone, but it's 8:59. Dan is pleading with a station to not play the giveaway. I love the nice touch of having a bunch of kids in the masks show up to go trick-or-treating.
Because it's so, like, as an audience, you're watching it, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, that they're right here,
Yeah, it's the encroaching storm is on their doorstep for sure.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 stations do switch to technical difficulties, but only 2 of them.
Right.
He begs them, stop it. You've got to stop it. And the camera cuts between him and the flashing pumpkin faster and faster, screaming, stop it. And then cut to black. Boom.
So good.
It's a great ambiguity. You get this great score to sit with as we lead out. It doesn't feel particularly triumphant. It is gripping. And even if only 1/3 was hit, It's quite the posthumous win for Connell, that prankster.
Yeah. Well, which is why I think he gave them a little golf clap when they screwed up his lab. He's like, good job. He's like, well, you're all screwed anyways. Like,
exactly.
We won't get enough blood for Sawain.
Yeah.
You know?
The studio was scared, and they had made Body Snatchers put a bookend on a very similar ending to comfort audiences. And
right.
Tommy said that he wanted to right that wrong. And Universal did push back, but ultimately, when John had signed up to produce, he also had gotten creative control.
Nice.
And so he said, if you feel that this is the right thing to do, Tommy, then this is what we're going to do. And the begging to stop it at the end of the movie does also tie into this theoretical commentary on ending the franchise.
Yeah, please just stop it.
Right. And it was, in fact, successful for a time because Universal did back off after this movie flopped.
Right.
Until eventually Mustafa Akkad revived the franchise via his own production company, threatening to sue Carpenter, who said, I'm holding them up making money on a property. And since then, every Halloween has featured Michael, and in fact, Akkad referred to himself as the protector of the franchise, saying in Halloween Unmasked that, quote, in every script, they want to kill him. They want to destroy him. I tell them, wait a minute, Michael Myers, I love this guy. And you're like, well, does he love Michael or does he love money?
Yeah. And you know what's funny, too, is you have on that documentary, one of the other producers, I forget the guy's name, who's like, this is they didn't want Michael Myers and it was stupid. Right? That guy. I forget which guy it is.
Right.
And then you got Akkad who's like, oh, yeah, it's all about Michael Myers. Okay. Well, so then when they finally make Michael Myers movies again, what do? They do a trilogy where he's brought back to life via witchcraft.
That's right.
So don't act like you didn't like Halloween 3, you little pricks. You know?
And now, Timmy, we have reached the part of the episode where we sum up why this isn't just a good horror movie, but is, in fact, the best horror movie ever made. And I'm going to let you start.
This is the best horror movie ever made because it takes so many different kinds of horror and other kinds of genres. There's science fiction in this and stuff, and mash it together. And this movie is so unique. Like, the kinds of things that are happening in the movie are so unique. Where did I write down things? I wrote down a bunch of notes here. But I wrote down... It's just, in fact, and probably part of his failing is the movie too unique, I wrote. Yeah, probably. Like I said, it kind of feels like a John Carpenter movie, even though it technically is not. But it's like the way they mix science fiction and then the pagan horror kind of cult, druid sort of thing, Celtic stuff is so cool. And, I think for me personally, it's a fun horror movie. It's fun. There's kind of some silly parts, and it's kind of action-packed and has it's very good pop entertainment. But me specifically, I get very scared by bugs and the kind of folk horror sort of thing that is in this, but also infused with so many other elements. So I think it's the best because there's no other movie like it. And I think our discussion of all the different details here and all the things you've educated me on only further that point, because like the fact about it being a Halloween movie but not being a Halloween movie and being a horror movie and a sci-fi movie and all this stuff, and like it's just so interesting. And then so there's that. There's also, like I said earlier, I love it when they bring in some just old battle axe actors and let them do something fucking weird, and they help make it good. And the ambiguity throughout the movie, I really like that, because I think now and I believe the prequels, the Star Wars prequels kind of started this, but audience wants to know everything, and it's like, no, you've got a thing in your head that can help you fill in the holes, and good filmmakers know that. Right. And that's why we don't need to know if Ellie was a robot before or after, because now you and I just had fun pontificating on that. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So if they had said exactly, she became a robot at this exact point in the runtime, viewers, like, we wouldn't be talking about it. We wouldn't have a good time talking about it anymore, And so there's that.
You're here solo, so your name will be Robot Solo.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing. Because, at some point, like, if George Lucas watched Halloween 3, he's like, okay, but what are the bugs' names? You know what I mean? Where'd that snake come from? It's like, at the
What's
end
his motivations to kill that dad?
Right. It's like, oh my God. It's like, how many midichlorians does that snake have in its bloodstream? But, and we don't need to get into this, but I am a pro Last Jedi guy. And one thing that I liked about that movie is how it was kind of trying to tell people, like, In fact, there could be similarities between Halloween 3 and Last Jedi, where the Last Jedi is kind of trying to tell people, like, hey, maybe we can kind of drop the shackles of the past and make new ideas. Mm-hmm. And it ends with that little kid with a broom. And I saw on the internet somewhere someone be like, so I want to know, what's this kid with the brooms deal? It's like, oh my God, we don't need to know. The whole fucking point of that is, like, there's just people out there that have
wide
the Force
open
too.
now.
It's a huge fucking galaxy. And then, of course, J.J. Abrams, who is no fun. Like, the guy has so many, he likes to produce so many fun things, but it seems like he is not fun.
Yeah,
so
he
he's like,
get it.
He's like, no, we got to go back to the whole galaxy being 2 last names. It's like, what? I'm surprised he didn't, like, try and, like, retroactively make Mace Windu's last name Calrissian. You know?
Yeah.
Mace survives at the end of Order 66. He's like, I'm going to go into hiding. Yeah, I'm going to change my last name to Calrissian. They're like, oh,
Going back to my father's name.
What was your father's name? Landolphus. I think I might name my son after him, but modernize it a little bit. Works every time. They're like, why'd you say that at the end? Anyways, so I love it. I love the open-endedness. And now that does fit into, you know, Carpenter at the time made those movies he calls his Apocalypse trilogy right in the middle of doing this. And so it fits right in there. I mean, you could almost like say that Halloween 3 is John Carpenter and Tommy Lee Wallace did They Live, and I believe you. You know what I mean? Like, it's got a lot of his touch on it and stuff. And it makes sense given the whole familial aspect of all those movies being made with the same crews.
To the movie's benefit, I think, for sure.
Yeah. It's great. It grips you right away because you don't, like I said earlier, even having seen it a few times, it's like, you still are like, geez, like there's such hard left turns, and not even left turns. It's not like in Barbarian, there's a really big twist. In Malignant, there's a really big twist. I did it again. I know that he hates it when people talk about Barbarian and Malignant in the same sentence, but anyways, there's famous left turns, recent left turns.
Sure, yeah.
But anyways, so Halloween 3 never does that because you know there is something weird happening and it just very slowly reveals it. But the thing is it's so weird. Like the things that are the plot of, like, the bad guys' ideas in this movie are so fucking weird.
Yeah. And that's what makes them so great.
Yeah. We're going to steal Stonehenge and chisel shaving. Like, but they stole like, they could have gone to Stonehenge in the dark of night, gotten a bunch of shavings, went home. No, we're going to steal a fucking henge for ourselves. And
that's the trophy afterwards.
Yeah, man. And so like, we keep doing it. Like, what if we find other planets with kids? We got to kill them too. We're gonna need more hedge. So just steal your own hedge. You know. And
he's like, I can't believe this happened to all the kids wearing our masks. I don't know what happened.
That's crazy, right? Anyways, about these Martian kids we just found. Yeah, it's just so bizarre, but it works, and I think the way the movie slowly unfolds it. You're just ready. Like I said earlier, like once he's like, yeah, we stole this thing from Stonehenge, I'm not going to get into it. It's fucking nuts. The audience, you can just be like, yeah, I believe you that it was nuts because everything that's happened in your life is fucking nuts. So yes, you know. And, you know, even just today, I connected with the movie even more just with the Tom Atkins divorced dad thing, you know. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not an alcoholic, thank God. I know so many. And I'm the last whitest kid that can drink. You know what I mean? And I know tons of people that have had to quit. So I'm glad I'm not that. I've also haven't been in the same boat Tom Atkins' character is as a divorced dad trying to struggle to see his kids. But I just understand the frustrations of being in that dynamic, and for some reason this time watching him struggle on the phone, I'm just like, man, that is just how it is. And I mean, I'm not even gonna look it up. I'm sure Tom Atkins has several divorces and multiple stepkids and kids that he's trying to struggle to see sometimes, you know.
That's right. Hey, let's just say that him and old Garn in here are not together anymore.
Yeah, right. He's a guy that he welcomes the turns of the trail in life.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Tom, if you see a fork, take it. But anyways, for that and many reasons. And you know what? And this is why I bought it. You know, you're a movie collector too. I bought it without seeing it because the Shout Factory cover is so fucking cool.
Hell yeah.
And, you know, never...
That's enough.
Never looked back, yeah.
To me, this is the best horror movie ever made because, and I'm about to say something controversial, so get ready to hit that back 15 seconds so you can hear it again, gang.
What?
I think that this movie captures the spirit of Halloween better than the original movie.
Yeah.
It incorporates the iconography in a more interesting and deliberate way.
Mm-hmm.
As Tommy pointed out, the Halloween original movie was originally called The Babysitter Murders.
Right.
Had nothing to do with Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about Jamie and company. This is about pagan rituals and
Yeah.
Halloween itself as a holiday.
Yeah.
And it's so cozy. Like, I mean, it is just
Yes.
a delight to pop on. And one other thing that Tommy said that I actually don't agree with is that he said that now looking back at it to watch it for the commentary, that he would make a bunch of trims. And I like the languid pace. I think that letting it sort of unfold naturally a little bit
Yes.
slowly is what makes it work so well. The fact that you are just along with Tom, figuring it out with him.
Yeah.
You don't feel as hurried, but there is that ticking clock.
Yeah.
It just all comes together in such a perfect way that I think that the movie itself, in like its form, is perfect for what it is. It's
Yeah.
not too long. It's not too short. And I mean, the performances are just out of this world. We've
Yeah,
been
they're all
talking about it
fantastic.
this
Yeah.
whole time. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody is great.
And it's only 95 minutes, so I wouldn't even, I don't even know where you would trim it. You know, one thing I say when I review movies on Letterboxd, and I'm always very nice with the stars. I rarely go less than 3, because I tend to be able to find something I like in every movie. But
Oh, yeah.
Halloween 3 is one of those movies that I say this phrase all the time when I review movies on Letterboxd, which is, I always love it when a movie, you can see what a movie's trying to do and that they fucking did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they wanted to make this movie, and that's exactly the movie that came out, which, having been involved in TV, and I've done a couple indie film things too, that's not always going to happen. A lot of times you go in and you have no fucking idea what's going to come out the other side, you know?
Yeah, right.
Or it's going to, I think normally what happens is it's basically what you thought, but there's things that you didn't think. Like, Whitest Kids, we did 5 seasons of the show, hundreds of sketches. There's sketches that were like, this is going to be great, that no one remembers anymore. There's sketches we hated that people love now, and still talk about 10 years later, So it's, you never really know. So this is one of those things where it's like, they knew what they were doing, they knew what they wanted to do, and they did it. And it's right there. It's like, I think it's great. And it's probably one, I was talking about showing my daughter R-rated horror movies. I think she would love this one,
There you go.
It's because it's just a good introduction, like you said. So it really does the Halloween themes better. And I do like in the original Halloween, the carving the pumpkin, and, because I did that as a kid and all that stuff. But yeah, this really, but you could still have the main story without Halloween. You can't have this story without Halloween.
That's right. Halloween is circumstantial in the first one.
Very good. Yeah.
And that's why this is the best horror movie ever made.
It is.
We did it.
Suck it. It's not a great way to end it. Okay. Anyways.
Timmy, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, man. This has been very fun.
Yes, please, it's plug time. Tell people where they can find you, what they should be looking out for, how they can help crowdfund Mars.
Yes. All right. So, as George just said, Whitest Kids, we've got an animated film, and it's pretty much done, but we still need money to kind of finish the score, submit it to festivals and stuff. So there's an animated film we started making in 2020. Well, we wrote it, started writing it a long time ago, and Trevor, Zach, and Sam finished writing it about 6 years ago. But we started actually getting it made in 2020. We're crowdfunded through our Twitch streams. We don't stream regularly anymore after Trevor died, but we do still stream. And so you can find that at official WKUK. If you want to watch other stuff that we've made recently, like in the last couple years, before and after Trevor passed, you go to on YouTube, official WKUK, where we have a number of remastered sketches and commentaries and some other goodies, like the recordings of us playing a D&D game for like 6 months. Did you watch those?
I did. I watched those. I also really enjoyed Trevor's Pandemic show, which was a lot of fun.
Yes,
so
very cool.
A lot of really great stuff on the YouTube page.
Yeah, and then the other YouTube page, WKUK VODs, so WKUK VODS, and that is just what it says. It's recordings of almost every Twitch broadcast we've done.
I actually did not know about that one, so that's
yeah,
good.
Dude, hundreds of hours
Wow.
of me being salty to people. Because I don't, I have this whole thing about how we've been too nice to anonymous trolls on the internet for too long. I mean, we let one become the fucking president, and then we let another one by Twitter. And these are internet trolls. That's who these people are.
Yeah.
And It's like the whole, for some reason, the rule of thumb has been they're going to say whatever they want, and we're just going to kind of let it slide.
Yeah.
And fuck that. So I have, in my internet involvement, if somebody says something shitty, I yell at them. Because it's like, don't say shitty things.
I agree. I fully endorse this theory. And
retaliate these motherfuckers. I mean, they don't,
it's exactly what they're doing.
Well, yeah, and what's in their head? I'm going to say this thing that's going to piss this person off, right? And so then if said person says, I'm pissed off, fuck you, then they say, I'm a victim. No, fuck off.
That was their intent the whole time.
Yeah, man. So anyways, you can find me on there if you want to watch me yell at people. But no, Funding Mars. Also, I'm on Twitter for now at Timmy is a Nerd. Instagram at Timmy Williams is pretty. And we do some Facebook stuff too. But generally, look us up on YouTube or our Twitch channel. That's where you're going to get the most Whitest Kids enjoyment on the interweb. Oh, and WKUKplus.com is a website fans put together. If you're looking for certain mentions of certain things in any of our old Twitch episodes, you just type in any line, any word in WKUK Plus, and it shows you what episodes it's been in and when we've talked about it. It's an incredible search engine. I don't know who did it.
Future is now. Holy crap.
Very cool. Yeah, it's really cool. You should check it out. It's great.
I will do that.
But thank you so much for having me. And so we'll do Dead Beat by Dawn sometime. So here's the thing. So can you have a guest back on and say, they were just kidding before. This is the best horror movie ever made.
Yeah, so what has happened is typically people who come back do a bonus episode and we break free of the confines of best horror movie ever made. Usually we just talk about something that is interesting, worth discussing. But there have on occasions been people who have come back enough times that we had to just get an episode back out with another pick for best horror movie. And they have said, I've changed my mind. This is now the best. So
right.
That's, it's always fun. And certainly I'm sure we can make that happen. Although, but for this week,
yes,
Halloween
right
3
now
is the best, and there is no doubt about it.
I'm jazzed on it. It's good. It's a good movie. It's a great movie.
Absolutely. As far as my plugs, people can. I was about to plug my Twitter, but I'm really not on there anymore either. So I'm sort of adrift on social media right now. If you find
where
me,
are we gonna land? Huh?
I don't know. I really don't have much going on right now. I've been trying to get back into Instagram a little bit, but I'm having to put out like the photos and crap. I'm like,
I don't know if you've ever seen mine, but like when I announce like a stream, I'll tweet it and then just screenshot the tweet and put that on Instagram. It's like, I'm not taking a fucking picture for this.
Yeah, it's look. So if you find me, if you have a recommendation for where's good, then I guess let me know wherever you're able to find me. But also,
is Friendster still active?
I think we're gonna start that back up.
How old are you when Friendster was like 12?
I got the last little tail end of it. And then,
did you really?
Yeah, and then it's mostly just a thing I know about. Then
right, like how I knew about 8-tracks.
There you go. That's exactly that is, I think, a perfect 1-to-1, pretty much. But hey, as far as my real plugs, besides just social media that doesn't exist anymore, you can check out all kinds of great other episodes of the Best Little Horror House in Philly. We have talked about Barbarian with Matt Apodaca, who people might know from Earwolf shows.
I listened to some of that one.
I mean, it's a great movie. I love it genuinely. It was great to talk about it in that in-depth fashion. We've also talked with a ton of other great creators like Branson Reese, who you might know from Swan Boy.
Yep.
We have talked with Mike Mitchell from the Doughboys. All kinds of great comedians, directors, anything and everything. All of them getting the same love as Halloween 3 got here. And if you're in Philadelphia, this is the last episode that will come out before our live show. And so if you want to check out the 5-4... We are stealing Star Wars Day, unfortunately, from people. So May the 4th be you coming to see me talk about Tetsuo the Iron Man at Philomoka.
That's awesome, man. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. 6:30 movie, and then 8, we're going to talk about the actual, we're going to record the live podcast there at Philomoka. It's my favorite venue in Philadelphia, so very excited about that. And if you're really enjoying the show, there is a Patreon with all kinds of bonus episodes that, like I said, don't necessarily fit into the square peg of best horror movie ever made. If you want to hear us talk about Human Centipede 2, that's over there.
Hey, yeah.
So all kinds of great stuff. And that is pretty much it. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.